Who did you expect? Who did you expect? Who did you expect? Who did you expect? Who did you expect?
Welcome to the east side. We don't wait for doors of opportunity, we just wait on when we gotta kick them in. Decatur, Georgia, or a den of thieves. Hidden leaves just to feed the village. Hidden leaves make them feel like ninjas. Niggas always keep the metal tucked till you run up, get your face cut. Got your brukins on the back end. Know too many niggas trapped. They be stuck in genjutsu. They see the world from a different view. Shadow clones cause they silhouettes. Hard to point out when they robbing you. You never know what be inside of you. You never know who you be talking to. Till it's 2 a.m. on the east side. Black as shadows in the nighttime. They don't wait on nothing but the right time. He ain't come around the corner. Shots fired, that's a nigga down. Sad, but this is normal around this town. I've been crying for my niggas found. I've been praying for my niggas down. Always looking for some progress. Try a nigga, he gon' regress. Locked and loaded that nigga ready. Turn your brains into red spaghetti. I be looking for God here. Hopefully see that I'm trying here. Save my niggas cause they really lost. Tell that my niggas before you write them off.
They say, Vic, don't you move on that side, boy. Both the crime rate and junkies stay high, boy. Scary niggas, they ain't see my vision. Now they see it, they want them to convoy. Stop by the corner store, know that it's kissing. Then let them watch windows punk gas for a bag of chip shot with the water. But no, they got size, I don't need no patchouli. I just want water. Star bitch with my brothers like Pops and Earl. We gon' turn Keller Road right into a Melrose. I might turn Wesley Cat to a motherfucking church. They got my people and teach them their worth. I don't need no appraiser, I'm knowing the worth of my property. They just sold out the cap, always a lot in the world, and I'm on it all like construction on this side. I'm taking my time, now it's 2 a.m. on the east side. Up as fuck, no, I'm writing rhymes. Late night, now the early morning, like an alchemist, I'm turning into something. Shots fired, that's your nigga down. Sad, but it's normal around this town. Cause I'm calling, say you beat the charge. He can't wait to come back around. Other cousin Carly, I'm a stout. Say he heard prices went back up. Confirm they gassed up. Tell them chill, though, cause we next up. People be looking for God here. My job is to teach them look in themselves. Say my niggas cause they really lost. Spitting for the ones they breaking off.
Who did you expect?
Biggest the what? Biggest the what? Biggest the what? Biggest the Super Bowl.
Niggas so thirsty, don't put me in beef. Dissecting my words and start looking too deep. I look at the tweets and start sucking my teeth. I'm letting it rock cause I love the mystique. I still wanna give me a song where I be. Can trust everything that you saw on IG. Just know if I diss you, I make sure you know that I hit you like I'm on your caller ID. I'm naming the album to fall off. It's pretty ironic cause it ain't no fall off for me. Still in this bitch getting bigger. They waiting on the kid to come drop like a father to be. Love when they argue the hardest MC. Is it K Dot, is it Aubrey or me? We the big three like we started the league. But right now I feel like Muhammad Ali. Yeah, Muhammad Ali, the one that they call when they shit ain't connecting no more. Feel like I got a job in IT. Rhyming with me is the biggest mistake. The Spider-Man meme is me looking at Drake. It's like we recruited your homies to be demon deacons. We got them attending your wake. Hey, how the gang got away from the bars, man, this shit like a prison escape. Everybody stepping, we're fucking, and everybody breakfast, and I'm about to clear up my plate. When I show up, it's motion picture, blockbuster. The goat with the golden pen, the top toucher, the spot rusher. Spray this whole shit up, the crop duster. Not Russia, but apply pressure to your cranium. Cold's automatic when aiming with the boy in the status of stadium.
Big as the Super Bowl, but the difference is it's just two guys playing shit that they did in the studio. Niggas usually send their verses back to me and they be terrible, just like a 2-year-old. I love a dinner with some fine women when they start debating about who the GOAT. I'm like, go ahead, say it then. Who the GOAT? Who the GOAT? Who the GOAT? Who the GOAT? Who you bitches really rooting for? Like a kid that had been from January to November, nigga, it's just you and Cole. Big as the what? Big as the what? Big as the what? Big as the Super Bowl. Call that girl on her phone, G. Never paid attention to the room or the homie. She just missed another opportunity, And I know that she lonely with no company, She so busy reading text, she ain't even read the room, yeah. Always sending texts like I just want myself a little boo, yeah. I think I just went stupid, hit by Cupid. The arrow hit my heart, I hope she noticed. Gotta read the room, yeah.
Learn to read the room, I really wish that you can read the room. I really wish that you can look inside of me, and I could tell you how I feel, little baby. Just learn to read the room, Read the room. Just read the room, Just read the room. Learn to feel that presence and that feeling in that mood. Just learn to go ahead and feel that moment too, Learn to read the room. Trying to talk to you was honestly so fucking strange. Trying to find a way to drove my brain to be deranged. I would've never thought I'd have this kind of issue. I couldn't connect with you inside of the same room. I know you feel me, at least I think you do. It's hard to tell, I cannot read the room. Seem to be unfazed, that's what you supposed to do. You seem so confused, baby, why won't you learn to read the room? I really wish that you can read the room. I really wish that you can look inside of me, and I could tell you how I feel, little baby. Just learn to read the room, Read the room. Just read the room, Just read the room. Learn to feel that presence and that feeling in that mood. Just learn to go ahead and feel that moment too, Learn to read the room.
I'll show you how to read the room, baby. Say you faded off that drink, I hit the road and zoom, baby. Project nigga section 8, I never had a spoon, baby. She says it's rated, this movie coming soon, baby. No, I ain't worried about your boyfriend, he ain't like that. See me, it's on sight about that pussy, he gon' fight back. He gon' risk his life, I beat him up like go down my path. But your bitch want me, so it ain't my fault that you tried that. Oh yeah.
Learn to read the room, I really wish that you can read the room. I really wish that you can look inside of me, and I could tell you how I feel, little baby. Just learn to read the room, Read the room. Just read the room, Just read the room. Learn to feel that presence and that feeling in that mood. Just learn to go ahead and feel that moment too, Learn to read the room.
Yeah, everybody think it's a game. Yeah, everybody think it's a game. Yeah, everybody think it's a game. Boy, I ain't playing no games. No, boy, I ain't playing no games. Yeah, don't nobody know about the late night, early mornings with no sleep. Don't nobody know about the low time we ain't really had nothing to eat. Don't nobody know about the time we had to ride around without tank on E. Don't nobody know nothing but me. Don't nobody know nothing but me. Don't nobody know about the grind that it took. Don't nobody know how many times we put ourselves out there and got overlooked. Don't nobody know our pockets was low. Don't nobody know they think what they know. Don't nobody got love for a man, especially when a man hitting it low. Everybody got words of wisdom. Who putting in the work though? Everybody wanna get a trophy, but you ain't make it to the ship though. Better stick to your sailboat. I know you love to ride the wave. I see you really love to follow. Trendsetters over here though. Whoa, everything seem like a game until you get played, yeah. Everything seem like a game until you get played, yeah. Everything seem like a game until you get played, yeah. Everything seem like a game till you get played. 2K, pat me the pressure, I handle the rock. Stay on the ground till I shoot to the top. Harder than lava, I fired the op. Stay back and shoot, my heart is just hard. I don't miss nothing, my shot can't get blocked. Bust in your face like I'm Curry on God. My mentality, win at all costs. Snakes in that grad, had to cut a few off. Keep my head low, my focus is people. The confidence is key, don't let haters get to you. Critics always wanna say something negative. I can't mind them, I know that I'm better than them. I just know I gotta grind for my team. Take the title on me, be MVP. Once I do, I'ma show on the king. Finger to the left, so quiet my demons. Everything seem like a game until you get played, yeah. Everything seem like a game until you get played, yeah. Everything seem like a game until you get played, yeah. Everything seem like a game until you get
played. Yep. Ooh.
Listen, Lise. It is hot out here in the mean streets of the San Francisco Bay Area. Okay, it is kind of hot today, so I decided to go with a lighter color so that I don't attract so much sunlight. Okay, now what's today? Wednesday, the day before the 4th. All right. Oh, excuse me. Where are my manners? Shout out to my brother Spence. Spence was the sponsor of the last show and a mini show. So I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for holding me down every single show, man. So shout out one more time to my bro Spence, the sponsor of the last show. Now, I must say, it feels like it's going to be a good night. I just want to rant a little bit. Because something went through my thought pattern today, and I said we're going to touch on it. But before we even get to that, we're going to talk about a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about the debate because I heard a little bit of the debate. Okay. Did you guys catch the debate? Okay. Team Fatty, Sharon Bracey had a debate today. I did not watch it all, and I only watched a few segments, like here and there, a few minutes there. But I thought it's an interesting concept. Now, I'm going to say that I'm going to give you my small critique because I didn't watch it all. So it's the critique from what I saw in those moments. Okay, we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to get straight into the show. Okay, let me give another shout out to my brother Tone. Said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the waterfront. Now, everybody that understands how important water is to our daily diet, it is very important. Is what I do. I Love Dula. What up? I think Love Dula might be up in here. What up? We're gonna have a fun show, but I have to just briefly talk about what I saw in the debate. Okay, I'm gonna just say what I saw. And Podcast is in here, and Podcast is one of the best debaters. I can't. Don't deny it. Podcast is one of the best debaters. I would love to know what he thought about it if he saw it, because he would have probably got to see it in more of its entirety. So I'm just only going to give a small reaction to what I was able to hear, and then we're going to move on. Because unless we go back and review the show or things like that, it's really, I don't want to give too in-depth of a response, right? Once again, a big shout out to my brother Spence for sponsoring the show. It means a lot. I appreciate you, bro. But I'm going to just tell you what I saw. First things first, I got to say, I like the concept. 1, 2, 3 judges at the bottom. Nice. I don't know how the selection process went to pick the judges, but it was cool, right? Now, off the top, I'm going to say this. Those judges were not all unbiased, okay? And I'm going to say the truth. Jochebed, she was extremely biased from what I saw, okay? I'm sorry, she was not impartial. Sway, I consider impartial, and Jalen, I consider her impartial as well. Jochebed, I don't know about that. She seemed a little biased. You guys can decide which way you think she slid, but I heard some comments. I was like, that's a little biased, Judge. Okay? Just telling you the truth, okay? Just a little bit. It's a good concept. It was episode 1, so I think there's going to be some refined tuning. Fatty does a great job at refining his shows, adjusting them, and things like that. So that will be cool. But yeah, you got to figure that out. You got to figure out them judges. But other than that, good job, good concept. It is a good first show. We'll see how the next one go, and we'll see how that goes. If you guys want me to make sure I become one of the moderators in the debate, you let me know. Because I think I do one of the better jobs when it comes to that. And fair is fair. I call it straight down the middle, okay? That's what I do, straight down the middle. I ain't going to lean this way one way. If you get the point, you get the point. If you convey your message better, it is what it is, all right? Now, let me give a big shout out to my brother Spence once again sponsoring the show off the bat for the Water Gang. Appreciate it. And we're gonna get into it because I really want to talk about this. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I really do want to talk about this show. This concept. Hey Kazi, Red Girl, how you doing? The Canadian is here. Vanny Rue, how are you? Little Plastic Spoon, don't you boo me. Don't be booing me yet. What you booing for? What you upset for? What's frustrating your soul on a Wednesday before our Independence Day? Well, some people's Independence Day, others subjective, right? This is what I want to get into. But before we get into that, I want to talk about entrepreneurs briefly, okay? Either man not here right now, but I want to talk about briefly entrepreneurs, all right? Fred, what up? Everybody think they're an entrepreneur, but not everybody is. But they say that they want to be, and they think if they start a business, that'll just catapult them into that lane. I was watching this clip from, I can't remember his name. I want to say his name is David. He runs a podcast. I cannot remember the name right now on the top of my head. I think it's called Sleeping For, something like that, right? It seems to be doing really, really well. I've been seeing many clips of him all throughout the last few years. So he's been doing really well on that podcast, right? He had a visitor or a guest on the show, and he kind of spoke a little bit into entrepreneurship. And I want you guys to really pay attention to the differences of the roles that you have to play when you're the boss, the CEO, etc., and all these things. And you have to know when you don't know what you don't know. You have to know these things, right? So let me pull up this clip for y'all so y'all understand what I'm talking about, right? I want you to listen to this, and I want you guys honest feedback. Do you believe this guy was prepared for the moment, okay?
$100. Yeah. If you can convince me to buy a t-shirt, I will buy a t-shirt for $100 and you can keep the change.
Sell me this pen.
Let's go. I'm not convinced. Let's try it again.
So David offers to buy this person's merchandise, product, etc. for $100. Just convince me why I should buy your shirts. He just says, it's kind of like a freestyle type of thing. All right, you so convinced, tell me what it is. Gave him 10 seconds, nothing, right? Now, David is a businessman, right? He actually does really well with podcasting. And so I've listened to a couple of things he says, a couple of guest members that he has, and they are relatively good business people, insightful. And then you got some people that is just there for example. In this moment, you guys get to see what it's like when you put on a spot, when you have a claim that you're an entrepreneur, etc., etc. This is what you got to see him go through. Listen to this.
I'm going to buy this t-shirt from you for $100. You can keep the change. I'm really buying 4, but you get to keep the other 3.
Mm-hmm.
Convince me to buy a shirt. And action.
Yo, what up, man? I got some shirts, man.
Some
shirts, yeah.
Tell me about the shirts.
Man, the shirts, man, called Grinding Size, the brand called Grinding Size Apparel. It's very good quality, very comfortable. And I think you look hard in it, man.
Okay.
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay. How much are the shirts?
$20.
Okay. So what does grind in silence mean?
It really means to don't I'm still growing in my business to know what it means, to be honest with you.
I'm sorry. When he said, I'm still growing in my business to figure out what it means to be honest with you, I'm not upset at all. But to me, it harkens back to someone saying, I was young. I didn't know any better. You didn't know any better. So, guys, when you guys are saying you're an entrepreneur, you want to go out there and lead your product and be the boss, you have to know what you don't know. One, he is not a salesperson. He cannot do sales. He's not good at it at all. He gets those, it's like sympathy type of sales where y'all like, oh yeah, let me help you out, young brother. I see you out here trying to sell your shirts and do something good for the community and stay out of trouble. Let me get one of them shirts. And you ain't got to actually meet a demand. You don't actually have to intrigue your customer. You don't actually have to sell nothing. It's just pity that someone went out there to buy multiple shirts. So you're not a good salesperson. So one, you're going to have to open a budget for a sales team. One, you don't have a vision. You know how a lot of companies that you work for, they have a vision. They usually have a vision statement, right? This is the vision of the company. And it's very, very thorough. It's thought out. It's presented well. It's something that's it speaks to what the company is, the culture, etc. Right? That's the vision. He don't have that. So he needs to get the vision established, right? So off the bat, not a salesperson. So he knows he needs to get a sales team. He doesn't have the vision statement. He doesn't truly know what his business model is. He can't sell the story. That wasn't good. And mind you, this was a prime opportunity to reach to an audience that he wouldn't normally have access to. David does have a pretty good reach on social media. He really knows how to play the algorithms and stuff. He's been around for a while. This was not a good showing. However, you can go back to the drawing board. You can go back to the drawing board and you can get another opportunity. But I just want you guys to know there are situations where you may think you're ready for business. You may think you want to spend all your money on inventory. But what you find out is when you're put on the spot, you find a lot out about yourself and you find out what you're not prepared for and what you need to go out and learn. So I just wanted you guys to see that so you guys can get a good understanding of how people challenge you when you say you got shirts for sale. Now, I know a lot of y'all got homies. A lot of y'all got friends that's selling shirts so they can make some money. And they want you to buy a shirt. Do you realize that they couldn't sell you on buying those shirts most of the time? They couldn't sell you on it. They could not give you a reason to buy those shirts. At least, and this is sad, but it's the truth, at least if you were buying one of these recognized brands, at least if you were buying one of these luxury brands, you could at least say, I want to stunt. You could at least say they going to recognize me. You could at least say the fabrics, the materials, it's to my liking, you something. But you guys got to be careful. And shout out to my brother Peter the Investor in the building. What up? I'm just telling y'all. Yeah. And this was not a good showing, guys. I just wanted you guys to be able to see that in perspective so you guys get an understanding. That's not one of those showings that you want to see. He did not do excellent in that situation. So hopefully he learned from his mistake and he's able to come out on the other side. Maybe he's able to come out on the other side. Now, I don't even want to play that video. That video was crazy. Now, I really want to get into I'm not going to stress you out here. Kicking your kids out young, and are you an adult if you still live at home? This is what I want to ask you guys, right? And the reason why I kind of want to ask that, right, is it was a couple of different reasons, but one of the things that drives me crazy is, right, there's always this thought process behind, right? Can you afford to date? Things like that, right? It always comes up into mind. And I just be thinking, like, why do they keep leading with that, right? So I want to tackle this argument about Black people in particular who kick their children out too early, right? I want to know what you guys think. Do you think that Black families kick their children out too early, or do you think that They don't. Do you think that they should? Do you think people should stay home longer? Do you think that people should leave sooner, as soon as they turn 18? Like, what do you think is the best process? Because this is going to lead to a very interesting conversation for me, because I've been thinking about it for a while. And I've been listening to a few different statements and conversations. I said, you know what? I want to tackle this of why I'm a little torn. Because originally I was probably on the fence about this, what a lot of you guys thought. But I'm actually going to tackle this. And we have to tackle this with some truth and some honesty. And a lot of you guys ain't going to like it, but it needs to be said, and I'm going to say it. And this is going to be real, real tough for y'all. Whoo, y'all ready? And you guys get to share with me, because I might struggle a little bit. I might struggle a little bit with this. I think that two things. One, you should get your kids out of your home as soon as you possibly can. As soon as you possibly can. Now, that's an open-ended statement, right? But as soon as you possibly can. Now, I believe two things, and this, we got to tackle the truth. We believe in the Black community that Black people kick their kids out too soon. We believe that they don't let them stay. They make a mistake where other groups, they allow their family to not be kicked out, right? So this is the thoughts behind it. And then you tell me, guys, if you agree or disagree. This is the point of building, right? If you think about this, if you're not in school, and if you're not working, they should absolutely kick you out. If you're not in school and you're not working, you should absolutely be kicked out. There's absolutely no reason any parent should be subsidizing any of the kids. If you're not in school or if you don't have a job, you got to get out of the house. So that's point number one. If you ain't got no job and you ain't in school, you got to go. Now, of course, here's the unfair part about life. This is the unfair part about life. Daughters, sons. Daughters, sons. And we got to have a tough conversation, okay? We got to have a tough conversation right now. They are not the same. A woman that is broke and a man that is broke are not the same. They are not viewed the same. They are not treated the same. There is a difference. And now, here's a huge, big component that you guys got to touch on. Sharon, what up? If you're a father, and you guys got to be honest about this, you have a son and you have a daughter, you are preparing your son to attack the world, fight the world, defend himself, go out and have offense, defense, prepare to bring people along, prepare for the life and the burden that is to become a man. For your daughters, fathers, not so much. Y'all not in a rush to get your daughters out the house. That's your baby. Y'all want to protect them forever. Your son, you know you can't protect him forever. So you know he has to get to a point where he can fend for himself much sooner than you believe that your daughter should have to do that. I know y'all don't like the truth. I know y'all don't want to, but it's just how y'all view things. I think fathers in particular are more quickly be like, look, my daughter can stay a lot longer than my son can stay. It can be for a various amount of different reasons, but I believe that to be the case. Now, I also want to point this out. If you live at home and you don't pay any bills, you are not an adult. I don't care if you're 21. If you live at home and you don't pay any bills, you are not an adult. You're not an adult. You're not doing adult things. You are not doing common things that adults have to do, certain responsibilities, certain little trivial things that you just got to do because you're an adult. You're not taking care of those things. You at home. You have a level of adulthood that is taken away from you. So you're not an adult yet. Now we're going to touch into the tough part, right? We're going to touch into the tough part. You guys tell me what you think. And you guys make sure you... Black families are not the same as every other family. And this is the truth, y'all. When you look at other families, they have an accepted hierarchy. They have an accepted hierarchy, right? So you know who run the show. Like it or not, we have issues with hierarchies in our own family. We have issues with hierarchies. Fathers, sons. There's a constant battle there in most cases where you're trying to figure out your place in the world, your positioning, and being under your dad is a struggle. It's a problem unless you have a father that really knows how to navigate that. Very difficult. It's not an easy thing to do. In other families, their structures are very set. You going to school, you're going to study to be a doctor, a lawyer, a dentist. You're going to do that. You're going to do as we say. And another thing that a lot of other families have is they have something to offer their children. When the family pass on, whether they have it in a trust or something of that nature, they will tell you, look, you got to you're going to get the house or something. You're going to get a percentage of the house with your brothers and sisters. You're going to have something for when they pass on. You're going to actually inherit something. We not really getting those experiences. Most of us are inheriting $0 or a perceived level of debt, right? So we don't even have the structure because we don't accept hierarchies real. We don't want to listen to our parents. And to be honest with you, if you're an adult, do you feel like you should have to listen to your parents? If you in the house, and this is the difficult part, right? This is the difficult part. Even if you in that house and you paying bills, there is a hierarchy that still exists. If this is your father's house and you paying bills to stay there, he's still your dad. He's still your dad. It's not a neutral situation. It's not a neutral situation. If you had even if you had roommates, right? Let's just say I'm gonna use Charon because he here. Seeing podcast, I'm here. Let's say podcast beings. We all four of us live in the same house, right? We all pay rent. None of us are above each other. None of us are above each other, right? So when you look at it like that, right? So you got the hierarchy, you have roommates. We don't really look at each other as above, right? But when you have what I say is when you have in No Brownsville, you don't get no introduction like that over like you do on it. You don't get no introduction like that, brother. So don't think I don't care about you, but I don't have that introduction set up for you, all right? So the hierarchy is a major, major difference. And I think we struggle with that. And I think I'm not going to say it's for good reason, but I think that's a problem that we deal with heavy in the community. If we paying bills at the house, we feel our word means more. And I'm not saying it don't, but we going to have trouble with this hierarchy. You ain't about to just tell me nothing. What you think, Browns? You think you agreeing so far, or you just tuning in? I want to make sure, see where you at with the baseline.
Well, I believe that you're correct when you says in our community, within our culture, we have a hierarchy problem, right?
Yep.
But I believe you're kind of skipping the culprit of the problem, right? And the culprit of the problem is the black man. And I'm gonna explain why, right? So within our community, you have either a black man or black father who isn't present in the home, right? Because majority of single mother homes in this country are black, right? So either the black man isn't present, or when the black man is present, he isn't emotionally available. And that creates issues, right? So the black man who's present and he's not emotionally available to his children or to his spouse, right? That's going to create a tumultuous household. It's going to create a toxic environment, right? And when you're talking about a hierarchy, there has to be a certain standard that's met in order to maintain that hierarchy, right? So if I'm a son and I'm looking at my father, right? And my father is the type of person who is do as I say, but not as I do. I'm going to look at him as a hypocrite, right? And I'm going to rebel against his leadership because I'm not seeing the positive example, or I'm not seeing the standards that he wants me to keep that he's meeting himself, right? Or if I'm seeking advice from my father, but I'm noticing through his behavior and through his communication, he's lacking honor or integrity, right? Now, I'm going to be hesitant to follow his advice, right? If I see him mistreating my mother, right? So that is the issue that we have when it comes to the hierarchy, right? Because we find that the black men who are emotionally available and who are present in the household, they don't have a hierarchy problem within that settlement, right? Typically, that man is the leader. He's the head of the household. And typically, whether he has sons or daughters, they're following his leadership because he's leading by example, right? We just have a lot fewer of those type of examples than the other races. So that's why I agree with your premise as far as we have a hierarchy problem within the black community itself.
Yeah, it starts. Bees, what up? It starts because I hear a lot of people say we kicking our kids out too soon, right? And I was falling in line where I'm like, I kind of feel that because I kind of like, wait, even though I don't think I got kicked out too soon, I had to go find my way. Wasn't an option really, right? But I understand the thought process for it. But the thing that I have is that when I really look at it and I look at the other groups that do this, their hierarchy structure is more aligned. They understand this process. We struggle with it. And then I thought about it. Dang, you can't have no kids that's not in school, that's not working in your home. You're like, that is just the base minimum. And then I thought about, I said, you know what? You kind of do need to charge them rent. You kind of do need to charge them rent. I know it sounds crazy.
And even that, Aaron, though, even that premise, right? As far as within our community, within our culture, we're kicking our sons and daughters out too soon before they've established themselves to have the type of mentality necessary to survive in our society and thrive within our society as an adult, right? But the reason why that's happening is, once again, because of the fathers, right? They're selfish. So you have the fathers who are present, who are emotionally available. Then you have a subset of those fathers who are saying, well, you know what? I had to pull myself up with my own bootstraps, and I had to join the Army when I was 18, or join the Marines when I was 18. So you know what, son? You need to do the same thing so you can learn how to be a man. Well, my question to that father is, why aren't you teaching him how to be a man? Why does he need the military service to teach him how to be a man? If you learn how to be a man, then you should be able to pass those values down to your son. He should be able to learn from you because you love him, you care for him. The military is not going to care for him. They're just going to train him to be a soldier that's going to listen to them. And a lot of mistakes that they're going to make in life is going to be due to lack of experience, the experience that you could have taught him as his father. But see, a lot of these men, they're selfish in a way that they don't want to teach and put those values and pour into their sons in that way, because they feel like, well, I didn't have a father that did that to me, so therefore you need to go through the same struggle that I had to go through to figure out how to be a man. And once again, I have an issue with that, Aaron. And so when we have these conversations, man, we gotta address the root cause of these problems, and we can't just skip over it. And I understand this is the Rempire. I understand that you, my brother, are the asylum owner of the Rempire. So a lot of these conversations are geared towards giving men scapegoats and giving men excuses, right? And trying to point blame in other places when we as men should be doing self-reflecting, and we as men should be taking accountability and responsibility as to why our community and why our culture has become so toxic in a way that we're falling behind when it comes to these values, and our children are being left behind. That's what we need to be talking about, Aaron. Peace and love, man.
You know, Aaron.
I know he came over here on that BS. I've not presented such statements, positions at all. There's an open conversation to different perspectives, and I didn't scapegoat any men. I didn't necessarily blame men, blame women. I'm speaking to hierarchy issues. I'm speaking to even cultural problems that we have. And the truth of the matter is, even good parents that I've seen, that I know in real life, their children still struggle to want to listen. Their children still sometimes run on their own path, because at some point, our peers are the ones who have one of the major influences on us, sometimes even beyond our parents, because we have to see ourselves living beyond our parents. So that's why I don't really look at it. The dads are failing this or failing that, but I can understand if you saying the ones that are not presidents, but you saying the ones that ain't presidents failing, the ones that's in the house is failing. So you basically saying black dads are just failures then.
Well, when I said there was a subset of men that are present and that are emotionally available, that are failing because of the history of our community and our culture, which has them caught up in arrested development, right? And puts them in a selfish mind state. We hear it on these panels all the time. We hear, that type of remedial rhetoric and those type of things. And often it saddens me, because I'm like, well, if we know better, we got to do better, right? So we got to be better fathers. We got to be better.
Well, let me get Podcast in here, because I want to get his thoughts before you take us too far out of the rail. Go ahead, Podcast.
Just so you know, right, I was about to hit the link, so I didn't know this cat was going to be up here. This shit is goofy, right? But even I could address it, right, from a logical standpoint. Like, that's how good I am. Because the argument that he's presenting, although it's a fallacy at best, even if you said the father went to the military and learned how to become a man, so why can't you teach your son how to become a man? He would essentially be saying we shouldn't need schools either then, right? I mean, I know how to count, so why do I need to send my kid to a school to learn how to count? I knew the Pledge of Allegiance, right? I did a couple science experiments. Why should we ever go to school then? Education should be all on the parents, right? But there's no way he's going to say that shit, right? The fact of the matter is, Aaron, do you think there are poor teachers?
Yes.
Right. There's people who actually have the job. They don't do it well. And they were supposedly trained to be able to do it. Went to school and got degrees to be teachers and still aren't good at it. So just because somebody has information doesn't mean that they can teach or instruct that information very well. Not everybody in the military becomes a general. There's way more men who are just infantry. Although they possess the same information, not everybody can bring it across the same way. That's the reason why you have a society, right? It's because we understand that. We understand that we need people to be in certain positions, the best of the best in these positions to get this specific job done. That's how that works, right? If my son comes to me with a problem, I can give him information on how to solve it. That does not necessarily mean I can teach him how to be a man. All of his experiences won't be repetitive of mine, although some will, right? There are some things in life that you will not know. You will not understand. You won't even know how you're going to respond to it until you go through it, right? So this whole argument, this whole thing of Aaron is having a deeper conversation, and here you come with the goofiness of, well, let me make it a man versus woman situation. It just stressed me right back out, bro. I was trying not to be. The fact that I think you have.
You're not done. Okay.
No, I'm addressing Aaron now. I think you have a good point, but the problem I think is this: way too often in our community, we use this thing called tough love, Aaron. That's really the problem with hierarchy. It's because you won't respect, but you aren't being respectable. Right? I'm going through my own shit right now. And it's partly because of what I went through as a kid. But that's what I'm saying. When I was going through this shit at the crib, Aaron, my whole family was making me the problem. At 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, 14 years old, they were saying I was the problem. Not the junkie mama. Not the fighting, stabbing each other mama and motherfuckers on drugs and all this other shit. Not the, verbally abusive, psychologically and emotionally abusive mama. Not them. I was the problem. And I was supposed to just respect the hierarchy. You see what I'm saying? That's very difficult to do. Now, there's going to be some kids who are going to be able to go along with that, right? But I think at this point where we have seen, as it pertains particularly to Black children, they might not easily just be able to go along with that, especially if they have references, right, to understand that their situation is not conducive to healthiness. If I'm in a house with my mom, and my mom is every other word is cuss word, and I'm all kind of bitch ass motherfucking hoe ass niggas and all this other shit. But then I go to my cousin's house, his mom don't talk to him like that. I don't care what he did. Or I go to my friend's house, his mom don't talk to him like that. I don't care what he did. Now I have reference points, right? And now those lines of the hierarchy start to go away. Fuck your hierarchy when you disrespected me and treated me like I ain't shit and making me feel like I'm trash.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
No, it's just interesting because Brownsville says that the father, and Brownsville, did you want to respond to that? Because I don't want you to lose your point. If you did, I won't lose my point.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So first of all, peace and love to you, brother Beans. I hope you're having a great day. You mentioned that you use logic and you're good with logic, but your comparison that you made was very illogical, my brother. And I'm gonna tell you why. You compared education to a father teaching a son the codes of manhood, right? Education is a universal baseline that extends across all cultures, right? So no matter what culture, no matter what community you come from, you have to lean on education, whether private education or public education. That is a universal factor that leads to success, right? What I was talking about is a father teaching his son the codes of manhood. Things like financial literacy, things like honor, integrity, right? Values that a father should be extending to his son, teaching him to learn from his bad experiences, et cetera, right? We often find a lot of times our Black fathers don't want to communicate that type of a knowledge to their son. They rather somebody else do that, right? And that's why I brought up the military point. And I can substantiate that because when you look at the military field across the spectrum, right? You look at the statistics, right? That is one job that a lot of young Black men and women are going into, right? when you compare that to other job fields, it's substantially more. In the U.S. military, there's a higher black representation in the Marines, Army, Air Force, Navy, you name it, versus the cultures of race, right? White, Hispanic, there's a higher representation of blacks when it comes to other job fields. Why is that, right? Why don't we have more blacks going into medicine? Why don't we have more blacks going into public education? Why don't we have more blacks going into finance and all of those different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's because we're pushing them to have to develop themselves when it comes to baseline experiences that a father and mother should be teaching their son and daughter, right? As Aaron O pointed out, listen, why are we putting them out of the house so early when we should allow them to learn how to become adults within our household first, right? Not kick them out at 18 and 19 and 17, and they don't have experiences with financial literacy. They don't understand honor, integrity, and self-reflection, accountability, and all those things. So they're going out in the world trying to figure it out on their own, and they're making mistakes. They're messing up their credit. They're, getting criminal records because they're not being taught certain things, drinking and driving, all those different things. Hold on, I'm not done. I didn't interrupt you.
That's long-winded though, but
sir,
you got.
I didn't know you were very long-winded as well, and I'm about to land it. I'm about to land it, my brother. Right, but I didn't interrupt you. I asked you when you were done. You said no, so I let you finish. But now I'm about to land it. What I'm saying is, right, I know as a black man myself, yes, it's very difficult for a black man to say, you know what, it is my fault that my community and my culture is so downtrodden, right? And I need to look into myself in order to fix the problem. I understand black men, we have an issue with saying that, and we have an issue with owning that, right? But I didn't bring up women at all. And you saying it's a gender war thing that I'm talking about. No, it's not a gender war thing I'm talking about. I'm talking about black men being more accountable and being more responsible when it comes to the ills that plague our community and culture. That's what I'm talking about, Brother Beans. Peace and love to you.
Right. You're talking about one side of it in a conversation where he's talking about both. Yes, so you're being divisive. That's just true. But here's the thing, though, right? Because I'll say this just so people can know I'm being genuine. The one thing I agree with you on is that we kick our kids out the house too soon. So we agree there. So just so everybody know, I am being objective. I don't have to disagree with you where I actually agree with you at, right? But here's where I know you're on some bullshit at. Pay attention. Can you answer me this question, sir? How does a father teach his son loyalty?
He teaches his son loyalty by showing and proving with his experience in the household, showing and proving that he's loyal to his wife, showing and proving that he's loyal to his community.
Mm-hmm. So when you said that the fathers that are in the house, but you said they're still failing, are they failing that loyalty then? Seeing as how they are in the house with the family, with the wife?
Yes, I said a subset of them are failing.
Yeah,
yes, absolutely.
Right. So how is he failing if he's there with his wife, with his family, doing his job? How is he failing at teaching them loyalty? If that's the metric which you just used to describe him teaching them loyalty.
Right, because there's instances that have been reported, right, to where you have men who are mistreating their wives or significant others in front of their children, right? They're disrespecting them, they're denigrating them, they're calling them out of their names, etc., etc. You have men who are willing to go to the strip clubs and go to the brothels and hiding the passcodes of their phones and all of those kind of sneakily type things and situations that their children are learning from that type of a man, right? So when you talk about loyalty, that's how those men are failing in loyalty, my brother.
So you actually, I just want to give you a chance to just think about what you just said. Just give you a second. You're actually suggesting that a father or a husband can't be loyal if they are verbally mistreating the mother. That kills loyalty.
That's an act of disloyalty, right? Because if I'm loyal to you, I'm going to love on you. If I'm loyal to you, I'm going to show you respect, right? Think about it, Beans. Do you not respect everybody that you're loyal to?
Respect, yeah, absolutely.
So that's what I'm saying, right? So
No, that's not what you're saying.
When you're involved, when the children are in a household in which they're watching their father disrespect their mother, right? They are viewing that as a form of disloyalty. I don't understand how you're disagreeing with that.
Right. So here's how. Because what you asked me was if every person I'm loyal to, don't I respect them? Now, here's a better question. Do you think I can respect the person and cuss them the fuck out?
That's, to me, no. Because
right. Well,
I don't listen.
Wait. Hold on.
You asked me.
I did and you answered. You said no, not to you. Got you. So here's the thing. I'm glad you said not to you. You see what I'm saying? Because words have meanings, and you don't get to make them mean what you want them to mean in order to validate your soliloquies. Words have meanings. I can absolutely respect somebody and cuss them out. And here's the thing. Let me ask you this. Are you okay with corporal punishment on children?
No, I'm not okay with it. Well, it depends on the type of corporal punishment. So if you're talking about physically assaulting a child, no, I'm not okay with that.
What about on adults? Are you okay with corporal punishment as it pertains to adults, including imprisonment?
So if you're talking about someone who commits a crime going to jail, yes, I'm obviously I'm a proponent of that, right? But I'm not a proponent of taking a criminal behind a woodshed and beating on them and physically assaulting them. I'm not a proponent of that.
Okay, guys, we got to get back on task.
What you're acknowledging, though, is that you are okay with consequences, right, for actions. So what I'm saying is this. You're saying it like the man just wakes up and starts cussing his wife out. See, that's a bad narrative when we know that that's absolutely not the truth. More often than not, women do things and say things to provoke men's reactions, right? So just because a man may raise his voice, yell, scream, or cuss out a woman does not necessarily mean that he doesn't respect her or value her. And it absolutely is not evidence of him not being loyal.
I disagree, because when you talk about consequences, right, you have to keep in account that the consequences should be appropriate to what initially happened to cause the consequence, right? So there's no situation that should result in a man becoming emotionally unstable and he's now cussing out and disrespecting his wife. He should have emotional intelligence. He should have self-control, and he should be able to communicate his thoughts or communicate his disapproval in such a way to where he's not bruising the fruit. But see, a lot of men, like, that have an ideology such as yourself, you think, oh, well, I'm going to respond in kind, right? I think that I should be able to cuss you out because you hurt me, right? And to me, that is an immature response. And we got to get away from these immature responses, because now we're wondering why these other cultures, why these other communities are lapping us. Well, it's
the other communities
actually we are staying in a childish mindset, my brothers.
But the other cultures actually allow corporal punishment.
Peace and love.
The other cultures actually employ and allow and encourage corporal punishment against the women. So you're wrong there. It is okay in Arab, Indian, African, a lot of those other cultures you're talking about that are superseding us in, you know, financially, educationally, but they're all about going upside their woman's head. So what you're saying makes no sense.
And the thing is this, right? It's not about whether or not you should. What I am is I'm a person who understands human response, right? So what I'm saying is when a person is having a human response in an environment where there's very little control, by the way, right? Based on the society that we live in, men have very little control in their own households, right? So if the most you're gonna do is raise your voice and cuss, well, by all means, have at it, in my opinion, right? But again, the point is that when this is happening, it's not because the man just woke up and decided to do it, right? There are things that make that come into play. But you tried to use that as a sign of not being loyal. That's just not true, right? The whole point in this is that when you're trying to put it on the men per se, or you're trying to suggest that a man is saying, well, you can go to the military to get the training to become a man, the examples that you use, and like you can't even really tell me what it is that they can exactly do to exemplify those examples in front of a man, in front of their sons, to make them become the men you saying they should become, right? The whole point of it is that I can't necessarily tell you everything. I can't. I have my own son, so I know this.
Well, you didn't ask me for the examples, man.
Right?
Now, if you ask me for the examples,
said you
I
wasn't
can give you
right?
the examples.
Right? Remember when I tried to cut you off and you told me not to, right? See, I don't mind being cut off, but if you ain't gonna let me cut you off, don't do it to me. So here's the thing. I have a son.
My bad.
My son just turned 19. Believe me, since he been 12, boy, I've been trying to tell him everything it is to be a man. It's too much information. It's way too much. He can't take it all in. It's some stuff that he's gonna have to figure out on his own. It's some stuff where you're literally just anxiously waiting for something to happen so you can walk him through it, because you know that's really all you can do.
Well, Beans, you gotta look at it, because we gotta get back on track. But you gotta look at it like this: we don't only want to learn from just one person. We think he forced to teach us. We think he got to do this because we his child. So there becomes a resistance point where we're like, I need to learn outside of just you. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody just wants to just learn from one person. They don't trust it. No matter if it's their dad, they need other areas of points where they can pull from. So they can't just learn from one person. I think that's just natural within us. But I need to get back on track here as we're going forward. Are you guys okay with kicking kids out as soon as you possibly can?
Absolutely not.
No.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of torn. So I can't say I don't agree. Do you guys believe if you're at home living with your parents, even if you pay rent, you are not an adult?
No.
Absolutely not. You can be an adult. And that's what I'm saying. We got to get away from this childish mindset, because the other cultures, the white culture, the Hispanic culture, the Asian culture, the Middle Eastern culture, they're not, having that type of a mindset towards their children.
Well, let me just be clear. So let's say you don't pay rent. Are you an adult if you don't pay rent?
Yes.
You absolutely can be an adult. Absolutely.
No, you are not an adult if you don't pay no bills.
That's easily explained.
Well, you said rent, Aaron. Aaron, you didn't say bills. You said rent, right?
Yeah, but
so here's the thing. My son is 15, right?
Go ahead.
Now, I'm not going to put my son out of the house or require him to pay my rent, right?
Not at
no,
15.
I'm talking about even when he graduates high school, becomes 17.
Okay.
Even when he's going to college, whether he goes to a community college close to where I live, or he goes off to the university, whatever he chooses to do, right? The problem is we want to put too much responsibility on our children too soon. That's the issue within our culture. And what we're doing is we're creating an environment of forcing our kids' hands. We're forcing them to learn financial literacy on their own. We're forcing them to learn certain values that should be taught from the parents on their own, and we're setting them up for failure.
But here's the thing. I don't believe that we're kicking our kids out that are going to school. I don't believe we kicking our kids out that's working. I believe the kids that are getting kicked out are the ones that's not trying to be productive, that do not follow the house rules. So they're not productive, not following the house rules, and not going to school. And they come from a very much struggling family.
Okay,
so
before you move the goalpost,
I'm not moving the goalpost.
The question was about whether or not they can be adults. Aaron, the expectation alone makes them adults. Because the expectation that you have for them now, you didn't have when they weren't an adult. So the expectation alone makes them adults. I was telling my kids this when they was adolescents, like, stop being in a hurry to grow up. You think you're going to turn 18 and you just get to make all your own decisions and it's just going to be easy selling, but it ain't. Because the expectations that's going to come along with that, I promise you're going to be wishing you was a kid again. Right? So the expectations alone, when my son hit 18 last year, and I got that phone call from him, I was in the middle of a show. Luckily, I had a panel, so I was able to break off for a minute. And he was, Dad, why did you even have me? Why did y'all even bring me into this world? Because it hit him. Yeah, you graduated high school, but it ain't over. It's just beginning. Man, so you mean to tell me I'm finna have to get up and go to work every day for the... Yes, I tried to tell you this. Yes. The real life begins now. The expectation is different. People are expecting you. You can't work at the pizzeria no more. They want you to go to the factory. You can't work 4 hours a day no more. They want you to go work 8s and 10s and sometimes 12s. That little $13 an hour ain't enough no more. They want you to make 22 minimum. Right? So the expectation alone that comes with these kids after they hit that age of 18 or graduate high school or whatever is absolutely what turns them into adults.
Yes. So in that context, I agree. I'm saying, speaking in the context of the home, your parents, you not an adult to them. If they paying for things and you still in their house, it's their ground rules. You're not an adult to them. And I understand, because remember this context, the conversation is created around the context of you being at home, our hierarchy is cultural, right? I understand the world views you and the law views you as an adult. Heck, even your best friend that don't live in this home say you an adult now. But in the context where we speaking from, I have to reset it there because I can understand your point is valid when we just speaking logic and facts. But in this point, parents do not look at you in their home, not paying no bills. Even if you pay a bill, you follow their rules. You still a child to them. You will disagree?
That's what they saying.
That's different than what you said, though, Aaron. That's different than what you said. Again, I'm just saying. So hold on. If you put it that way, I would agree with your premise. That's why I say it's important to make the distinction. Now, are you an adult? Yes, but are you an adult to the parents that still taking care of your ass? Hell no. No, you're not an adult to them because, like you said, the reason why that and you're still the burden of a child to them. If you don't have to provide any type of financial, support to the household, you are a child to your parents.
But fantastic. This is why it's important.
Doesn't matter what they're saying.
The context of it is the family home. Fantastic is determined if you got to get out this house. So the context is based around how you view your family. So like I said, to the general world, I'm with you. But to fantastic, you ain't no adult in my house. I make the ground rules, and mind you, while I'm building it, I want you guys to think a certain way. So I'm not necessarily explaining everything for a reason, right? That's how I often am. Yeah. I want to ask
situation.
Say again.
Have you I'm not sure have you been in this situation? Because I'm telling you, that's why I'm asking you, does it matter what the parent is saying? Right? Because I can see how the way you're painting it is but the way that they talk is very different. Because the minute they have that expectation of you, you're grown. I see exactly what you're saying about how they're viewing you because like Fantastic said, you're still the burden of a child to them. But the minute they want you to do some other shit, some grown up shit. You grown.
But I think, but
That's what they're
Bing,
saying out of their
gotta,
mouth. They're saying out of their mouth, hey, you grown now, so you can blah, 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 blah. This is how they talk. I've been in this situation, so I know.
and I have a slight difference. I agree with your premise as far as the expectations, but I don't think expectations alone makes you an adult. I believe meeting the expectations is what makes you an adult, right? Because we have a lot of man-childs, who I call them, who have expectations, but they fail to meet those expectations, right? And to me, what holds them back is that childish mentality or lazy mindset that they don't want to meet the expectations. They don't want to follow through with a plan or vision all the way, right? So to me, what makes you an adult is not just having expectations, but meeting them. And also, to Fantastic's point, we got to stop looking at our children as burdens, right? I don't look at my children as a burden. I look at them as my legacy, right? So it is important to me, and I am invested in rearing them up in such a way to put them on a pathway of success, right? And I'm gearing my life in a way to be that example to pass on to them. So to me, they're not burdens. And we got to stop using that type of rhetoric towards our children.
Hold on. Again, you're a horrible listener. You're a burden when you're of adult age, and like being said, have adult expectations, and you're not benefiting the situation. You're not contributing. No one is talking about children. No one is talking about actual children. We're talking about children in the definition of the word, not the, you know what I'm saying, not the literal.
Fantastic. I don't want to get sidetracked with this,
My bad.
but no, you're not wrong. You actually on point based where the conversation was going. But actually, children are a burden. They actually are. Like realistic.
Yeah, even as children, yes.
They are a burden. Like whether we like to say it or not, just to define it, like they're just a heavy load, basically, a lot to carry, a lot to maintain. This is why people are foregoing children. So I mean, people believe and experience children to be a heavy load. Oh my God, it was tough growing up. So I disagree. I mean, I know it don't sound good, but children are a burden. And I would say that's probably true in 85% of people's experiences.
And the problem with that ideology,
I didn't think you was gonna say 85.
The problem with that ideology, Aaron, is that is why these other cultures and communities are lapping us, and they're going to continue to do so.
That ain't
right?
why.
Because here's the thing. No, it's
they not lapping me. But go ahead.
You think these business owners, these CEOs, and all of these things who are rearing their children up in a way to pass on these businesses and pass on these assets to their children, that they view them as burdens?
Yes,
they absolutely
actually
don't.
They do. No, actually they do.
They view them as their legacy.
Okay, that's fine.
And so agree. to me, here's what I'm saying, right? Because when you use the word heavy load, right? Which means, hey, if I'm carrying a heavy load, just in a physical sense, right? I'm looking to get rid of that heavy load as soon as possible. I'm going to have a sense of urgency to get rid of that heavy load, right? So when I'm squatting in the gym, right, I can't wait till my reps gets done. And when I get to that 10th and 11th rep, my knees are starting to buckle, and I want to get rid of that heavy load. So that's why I don't like those
It don't matter what you like.
Because
what I said is correct.
It's the mindset that's poisoning our community.
It's not the mindset, because my mindset is actually responding to what is factually happening and occurring.
That part.
And not only that, just because you're carrying a heavier load doesn't mean you need to put it down. You can find ways to make that heavier load lighter and lighter as you carry that same thing. So it's not you have to put it down. There are things we put in place. And not only that, because it's not an exact thing, children, as they grow and evolve, they can become less and less of a burden, because you have less responsibilities to certain things that required more attention, more of a load early on. So it's not my ideology. I am responding to what exists in the world. It's not about whether I like it or not. That's an emotional response. I'm saying what exists, and not only what exists, what people tell you they exist, what their actual experiences is, and then their actions being indicative of what they believe, children being a heavy burden. So it's not
right.
me.
And I'm telling you, Aaron, as a father of a 15-year-old and a 14-year-old,
okay,
that I don't view my children as heavy loads or burdens, right? Because they didn't ask to be born. They didn't ask to be brought into this world, right? I chose to bring them into this world, right? And I was proud of the moment that I did bring them into this world. And I'm proud every day to be their father and to be able to guide, lead, and direct their path along with God, right? So I view them as my legacy and I treat them as such. Right, I don't utilize those type of negative connotations.
That don't disprove what I said.
Yeah, that don't take away from what he said. You trying to, my bad. Go ahead.
No, that's cool, fantastic. That's good, right? But because nobody's gonna tell you, yo, you need to see your kids as a burden, right? Nobody would ever say that to you, right? But the reality is that most children are that. That's the point. Is that most children are absolutely that. And what are we telling people, that they shouldn't view reality? Like we're telling people to be delusional? No, basically. But you can say that, okay, like to your point, you chose to bring them into this world, so they're your burden to carry. It is what it is. Even if they are a burden, they're your burden to carry because you chose to bring them into this world. That's the reality of it, right? But I think really quickly to the original point, Aaron, think this is what I'm saying, right? When you become that quote unquote, I want to just use the word adult, right? 18, whatever years old, 19, 20, 21 type ass nigga, right? And you start going to your parents asking for shit that you ask for kids. Trust me when I tell you this, they absolutely let you know that they don't view you as a child anymore.
Yeah.
So absolutely let you know in those moments that they don't view you as a child anymore.
So that could be a shift. I'm not disagreeing with you. I think a lot of time that's an emotional response. Oh, you think you grown, huh? They don't really think you grown. You know what I mean? I understand what you're saying, and I'm not trying to be over logical here because we understand the logic of it supersedes the genuineness of the conversation because everyone is not going to be able to interpret the world the way that you can. So
I think what you're doing, to me, in my opinion, I think you're switching which one is the emotional response. I'm saying I think them viewing them as still their children is emotional response, but the mental, logical, perspective response is you're grown. Because, like I'm saying, when that kid is 19 and 20 and they want them $200 shoes, nigga, you need to go work and go get them $200 shoes. You ain't need no more. You see what I'm saying?
Hey, Aaron, can I ask y'all a question? Can I ask y'all a question?
Just so I make sure Aaron gets what I'm saying. That's not the emotional response. That's the logical response. Like that's I'm thinking about it response.
No. Okay, I got you. You're right. I'm with that.
So my question to Aaron O, Mr. Fantastic, and to CEO Beans, right, is this. When you go to sleep tonight and you wake up in the morning, are you looking forward to picking up a burden, or are you looking forward to discard burdens? Which one are you looking forward to doing every day that you wake up? Are you looking forward to accumulating burdens or discarding them?
Accumulating.
Yeah, so I look
with discard.
Yeah, so that's a good question. It really is. Like, in my opinion, I'm gonna answer it two ways. One, I think most people looking to get rid of responsibilities and burdens. I understand the importance of acquiring more responsibility, even though it may be perceived as burdens in some areas. So
there's a difference between responsibility and burden, right? They're not one and the same.
They're almost synonymous.
Yes,
no, they're not one and the same.
Great word.
They're almost synonymous.
Yeah, that word synonymous.
They're damn near synonymous.
They're very synonymous. Yeah.
So again,
I would say
as
I
a
think
man,
that's part of
especially, just manhood alone is a burden, and I don't think any of us want to lay that down. Being held responsible, being the person that's looked to figure things out and answer. Of course, as a man, you're always challenged to improve, right? And we know improvement in itself is constant improvement is a burden. So yeah, most men operate in a lifestyle of acquiring more burdens than they are. Like Aaron said, we all would want to do that, I think, but then you're not seen as a man.
But
if you're a man that can't provide, protect, and can't do what you and be there, like you say, to be that parent for your sons, your daughters, right? And you're able to because you have that in itself is the burden. Being a father. My bad, go ahead.
No, but I'm with you. But I want to acknowledge Brownsville, in my opinion, what he's saying in a general sense. He's asking me, do you believe most people waking up looking for like burdens and responsibilities and things like that will cause more of a heavy load on their life? The answer to that question is no. I don't believe that's what people are trying to do. However, some people understand the importance of embracing those things, and it takes people at different points in their lives. But I don't like if you're asking me that, I hope I answered in the way in which you were, how you presented the question.
Because it's listen, that's what I.
But look at what we're looking at so far, right? We're looking at things that you almost can't even avoid, right? Like when we're talking about like responsibilities and stuff like that, right? What you looked at in terms of being a father, what you looked at in terms of being a husband / boyfriend, lover, whatever, provider, protector, all these other different things, right? They can be viewed as burdens, but like to your point, I like the word you used also, Aaron, when you said embrace them, right? But I'm talking about burdens for real, right? Like not stuff that is unnecessary, right? Those burdens, absolutely. If I could wake up tomorrow and not have to suffer with anxiety, depression, or PTSD anymore, my nigga, I would gladly give fucking, I don't know, for that. Absolutely, I would love to get rid of those burdens. Without
right, because here's the thing, and I'm glad, thank you for being genuine, Beans and Aaron O, because when we look at burdens, right, we're not looking at it in a positive sense. It's always in a negative sense, because by definition, it's a heavier load. And in general, most men and women who are walking this earth are looking at some methods and ways to lighten their load, right? Because when you lighten your load, you get more peace. When you lighten your load, you get more joy out of life, right? The people who are burdened down with issues and problems and responsibilities that they're unable to meet, those are the people, as being said, are suffering with depression. They're suffering with anxiety. They're suffering from all types of mental and physical issues, right? So we should not be looking at our children as such.
It's a great take, actually. I mean, it doesn't take away from the. That's why I said I think it's using the word synonymous, but that's a great take, actually.
Yeah. So Beans gave you acknowledgement. So you must have did really well to get that response from him. Second, I don't disagree with you. We shouldn't be looking at our children. It does not mean that they are not. And that's what I'll say. That don't mean that they are not. They still are a burden. And forget just my opinion. The world's response, well, Americans' response in particular, and women's response in particular, no, I don't want to do that. I can't travel. I don't want. So look, don't blame us. Don't blame me. I'm just calling out what actually exists. Now, for us to stay on schedule here, right? Which is really hard for us because we got a bunch of brothers here that are very thoughtful in their thinking. I'm trying to figure out. Okay, let's stick to the black community here because most of us is black. Let me see. 1, 2. We got any light skin? Because I know it's light skin, dark skin, Drake stuff going on. Okay, so do you believe and do y'all want to listen to y'all as an adult? Do y'all want to be dictated by your father or your mother or your parent when you turn 18, 19?
No, because I didn't want that at 12.
So, and I'm gonna assume, fantastic. You like nah, and I think as men,
Hell
we
no.
generally like, all right, pops, I hear you. I know this your house. And honestly, I think that's part of the reason why I don't even necessarily think a lot of us get pushed, like, kicked out. I think we leave because we know we need to leave, because one of the things that was said by I don't want to say his name because he might trigger too much of that, is that when fathers are present, they are not loved during their lifetime because they implement structure and they command. Somebody dictates you, go clean it up, go do this, go do that, always putting the structure in place. They get on your last nerve and they annoy you. And it's not till they, dad's dead and gone. We're like, man, I really appreciate everything he made me go through. I get it now. You understand what I'm saying? So we fight that. So I know I'm not looking forward to be like being told what to do by my dad, especially if you might be, and I'm not saying my dad, but if you might be smarter in some areas or elevated in areas where he hasn't achieved and things like that, I could see how that might be even more of a complex relationship. So I'm just saying, realistically, a lot of us just leave. I don't think we're always pushed out or kicked out the way we claim to be, because when that structure exists and you got to go in, even if you pan there, like that's why I say even if we pan, if me and Bean's roommates and I'm paying for something, he don't have no authority over me. I don't care what he say. But if Pops is in the house and it's his side and I pay bills, Pops still is that authoritative figure. That bothers most people because most dads are structured, telling things what to do, and it's how things gonna be done. You guys understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. So the way so here's the thing. You're talking about with the fathers in the house, right? So
yes.
I would still say that probably most sons today aren't dealing with that. Right, based on a lot of fathers not being in the house.
Okay.
And then in a lot of situations where there are men present, stepfathers in the house, a lot of times the mom is still running the house. And what I've been hearing for the last few years, man, almost a decade now, from a lot of women who grew up with brothers, is that they moms was raising them and loving their brothers. Right, so the mothers was raising the daughters to get the fuck on.
Yeah,
right.
So I know why. I think I know why.
Yeah, but loving the sons and creating this environment of protection for him, right? Not necessarily trying to kick the son out, right? I think what happens with fathers a lot of times is they subconsciously do things to create the environment to incite the son to want to get the fuck on. You want to see your son do his own thing. If my son would have followed my plan right now, he would have his own place. Right? And that's because that's what I wanted to see for him. I didn't want him to have this failure to launch that I had, you know what I'm saying, based on all of the shit that happened to me. I wanted him, I'm like, yo, if you get out here early, I get it. It seems like it's a lot of pressure. But even if you fall off and have to come back to the crib for a minute, I know once you taste that, you're going to want it, right? You're going to want to get right back to it. You're going to love being able to stick the key in your door and knowing when you walk on the other side of it, ain't nobody in there dictating to you. You see what I'm saying? So
that's what I'm talking about.
See, from what I can see, a lot of fathers subconsciously and maybe even some consciously, because I know my cousin said that to me about his son and his daughter. Like my daughter could stay as long as she needs to till she get married, but my son need to be trying to get the fuck on up out of here, right?
I said that earlier in the show. I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah, he's a high value nigga, and that's how he view it, right? So, and I cussed his ass out about that one day.
So but that's common.
Even he's doing it consciously, though.
But let me tell you, but
some guys I think that's doing it subconsciously.
But the reason why, though, podcast, and I'm not saying what's right or wrong. I'm saying if you listen, the daughters they're not preparing to provide for their families. That is not their preparation. They say I got to take care of them. They're not sons. All right, look. We know what comes with your actions and responsibilities. So fathers are looking to protect their daughters for life. They're not looking to protect their sons for life.
Hey, Aaron, also, can I answer that question?
Oh, feel free to.
So your question was, do I believe that kids who are 18 that are looking to escape the dictatorship within their household, right?
Yeah, to a degree, yeah.
And I believe in general, yes, but I think that it is dependent upon what is being poured into them from their father, right? So, for instance, I don't consider myself a dictator within my own home. I consider myself a CEO. And what that means is if I give a command or I make a decision, I am accountable. And matter of fact, my children, they can come and have a conversation and ask why. I think as Black men, we have an issue or stigma when it comes to our children to where we feel like we're above reproach. We feel like we're above being questioned by our children, right? And to me, that's a teaching opportunity that we're foregoing if we have that proud mindset, right? So we should allow our children to ask us questions. Well, Dad, why did you tell me I needed to apply to that particular university, right? We need to be able to answer those questions in a thoughtful way to where they can understand it and understand the decision-making process, because that is how we're able to teach the decision-making process.
So right now, what's happening is this dude is really starting to piss me off because he's forcing me to agree with him. No, he's forcing me to agree with him, and that shit is really making me mad because I think he's right, but I do think the distinction is at a certain age. Because I think, and if you ask me what the cutoff is, I don't know. I would probably have to think about it. It may be like maybe, I don't know, 8, maybe 9. Well, I think you need to start leaning more into what you're saying, but it also have to be based on the child and based on where they're at intellectually, because a lot of times kids can ask the most unnecessary ass questions, and you cannot. I'm just saying this, Bville. Sometimes it's okay to say because I said so. Because I said so, sometimes kids need to hear that shit. But I also do agree with you on the fact that parents ought to be willing to allow for their children to tantamount grade them on their parenting. Because people think just because they have possession of the kid that somehow they deserve Parent of the Year award. And that's just not how that shit go. Shout out to my daughter's mom who realized this. Maybe later in my daughter's life, who's our oldest child, but she got to a point where she found the Hebrew Israelite religion and all that stuff, and she started questioning herself as a parent, and she started doing these weekend sit-downs with her kids where she would have them talk to her about how she did in that week or last 2 weeks as a parent. So I agree with him to a certain degree on that, because not only does it benefit them as from learning from you, but they'll take that into adulthood and it'll make them a better parent. Stop making me agree with you though, fam.
Yeah, but
Nah, CEO Beans. Well, go ahead, Mr. Fantastic.
Hold on. The problem with that again, man, is now you're making your children ill prepared for the real world. I promise you, you're not going to have a conference with your supervisor. I promise you're not going to have a conference with the CEO. I promise you're not going to have a conference with the police officer that pulls you over for whatever violation you've done. Again, this new parenting wave of, the counsel between you and a child is one of the major issues and problems with society, to where children think that the parents, they're on the same level. Mm-hmm. So no, we actually, that's actually one of the biggest things, issues and problems you're having. And you see why, and you're literally seeing it in these school systems, as where children are cussing out the teachers and treating them like their children. And then children get into situations with adults because, again, they think their parents treat them as their equals. So no, I don't.
The problem with that mindset, Mr. Fantastic.
I think if we flip-flop the school system, like right now the school system is 80% women, 20% men. I think if we didn't even have to flip-flop it, if we just made that shit 60-40 women, men, I think you will see a great, vastly difference in how children operate in the school system, right? But
I'm glad you said that, Beans, because remember when we were younger, there was a much larger percentage of male teachers, correct?
Not by a lot, but yes.
No, it was about a lot, Beans.
No, not from Chicago. Not where I'm from, it wasn't, bro.
Well, just nationally, you've had, I think, men now. I think men make up maybe 30% of teachers now. I think it's less than that.
It's less than that.
It was way more than that 20, 30 years ago, right? And the issue and problem is just because of that, because society has got to the point of where a man can't be firm, and a man, you know what I'm saying? You know, hey, the motherfucking gym teacher or whoever, the big, you know, football coach or whatever come in the room, everybody shut up, right? Because even though we know it wasn't really a threat of violence,
right,
he was able to establish his dominance as a man. Mm-hmm. Now that, you know what I'm saying, these children have gotten out of hand because they feel like they're on the level. This is why you've had a great decline in men teachers, men educators, because it's just not conducive to how, you know, a man asserts himself and a man teaches.
No, absolutely. That's absolutely correct, right? Not to mention the fact that they have to deal with the repercussions of the external sources that these kids involve themselves with. I don't want to say the name. I'll spell it GANGS, right? Because we've seen that. I've seen teachers who had to deal with that shit outside the school. You know, had to have security walking them to their cars and all that because they got involved with certain shit. So it's a lot. But I'm just saying, like, my thing is, that's why I specifically stated, Fantastic, that kids need because I said so. They need that, even if it's just, right, as a learning tool to understand that that's sometimes how life is, right? But I do think that all the time, tough love all the time across the board, right? I think that leads to a lot of the detrimental shit that we see in the society as a whole. No understanding, no compassion, only white people being able to get away with shit. You know, anytime, believe all women, right? Every man is guilty until, you know, proven innocent, all this other shit. All of that type of mentality to me comes with this, you know, because I said so type of shit. I think there needs to be a level of utilitarianism where we are looking at situations individually and determining whether or not this is something that needs to be explained. You know what? Yeah, let me go ahead and tell you why.
I totally agree with Bean's point right there, and I totally disagree with Mr. Fantastic's ideology when it comes to this, because it's not the idea of not being firm, right? You see, you brought up the comparison of a police officer, of a CEO, and of a supervisor. The difference between you as a father and those three people is love and compassion that you should have for your child, right? And Beans brought up a great point. How is your child supposed to learn to be empathetic, sympathetic, and be compassionate for others if you're not instilling it in him yourself as his father? If all you're teaching him is obedience, then that's the only quality he's going to be able to provide to others once he reaches adulthood. So we should not be limiting ourselves and limiting our children with just obedience, right? Because obedience is great, right? But also the thoughtfulness behind why to be obedient is very, very, very important, and it's very, very, very beneficial to our children, right? To their development, to their thought process, to their decision making, right? To if they only know, well, just because I said so and not the why, right? Then they're going to eventually have to learn the why when they get 30 years old and 40 years old, when they decide to make that mistake that they could have learned at 15, that my dad just told me no, not to do it, but he didn't tell me why. Now they end up with a criminal record because they learned why the hard way. This is why we got to forego that type of toxic mentality and ideology towards our children, man. Peace and love.
I think the if I look at it from the situation back in the day where it was mother and the father in the home, and you're talking about this balance, right? And then you're saying the implementation of what Fantastic is talking about from the father's end, and then the nurturing and caring and all of that coming from the mother. So you had the balance, right? But the problem with that though is look at how men were viewed behind it. You see what I'm saying? Like somebody just said it on the panel. It could have been Brownsville or Fantastic, but talked about how men were hated.
Well,
didn't even value them into after they died. They didn't even realize what the father was doing intentionally to try to prepare them for life. By being that kind of tough ass asshole, was trying to prepare them for the toughness of life, right? And then now you spend your whole life unappreciated. Father's Day going past, your birthday going past. Nobody give a fuck about you, right? Because they think you was this asshole.
Well, Well, let me get us back on track. And shout out to my brother Harrison says, appreciate all that you do, sir. Well, yeah, I switched up the conversation crazy today, and it's actually going pretty well. This is my question to y'all. If your parents are struggling, right? Struggling. You become 18. Don't you think you need to get out of there? Like, look, we struggling. It's not like we doing the best. We did everything we can to get you to this point. You got to go out and fly your wings. Are you upset at those parents?
No, and that's by necessity because I'm a prime example of that. I had to join the U.S. Army when I was 17. Matter of fact, my mother had to sign the contract because I wasn't old enough to sign a contract to go into Army at that age, right? And I had to do it because my mother was struggling and I had younger siblings who needed guidance and support that only I could do if I gained the experience and the requirements and the financial backing in order to be able to support and help. So yes, by necessity, unfortunately, if you're coming from a struggling background, you got to get out there and get it on your own as soon as possible.
Okay, now this is the Brownsville I want to talk to because I don't believe for 1 second you was thinking about that shit at 17.
Well, hold on, Beans. Before you go, let Fantastic get in there, and you can respond to what he just said.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So you just cast all these aspersions on fathers when you saying you had to, but your mother signed you up to do it. And I don't know if you had a father or not, but I'm guessing you're saying because you didn't have a father, you took on the role of being a father not only to your mother but your siblings, and you took the role of a provider. So that's why I'm confused as to how and why you're claiming that if I teach my children discipline and order, right, following orders, following directions, following instructions, however you want to put it, you deleted it down to being in service when literally you didn't have any of that at all because you didn't have a father in your home. So that makes everything you said irrelevant. So
well, actually, it didn't, Mr. Fantastic.
Well, let's let me get some clarifying questions. So, did you have a father in your home?
No, I did
okay,
not.
great.
My father,
so we got to walk this down. Hold on. So it's called a logic. It's called logic train. So we got to walk this down. So, but you are here professing you're being a great father, correct?
What do you mean by professing? You talking about myself now as a
father? Do you consider yourself to be a great father?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so how therefore did you reach this point of great fatherhood when you had no father at all?
I'm glad you asked that question. Through trial and error.
Okay.
I had to go through the fire.
Okay, and that's all people. So that's I'm glad you're starting to come around.
It shouldn't be all people. That's see, and that's what
you're
missing.
Even well, hold on. Well, no, I'm not missing that. Because there's even people that have fathers that still go through trial and error. That's literally how human beings improve upon things, and that's how things get better in the earth. You try something now that may not work. You try something, you may need to put a little twist onto it, and it'll be much better. So again, just this thing to where you're saying that one man's method of fatherhood, when again, like you said, you've had people that have told you, hey, like Beans got one of the best examples. They had no idea why that dad was so hard on them and he was so this and he was so that, he was so this and so that. But when he became a man and it helped him, you know what I'm saying, grind through whatever it was he had to do, then they actually tells the story of how they go back and they thank their fathers. One of the greatest points is what's his name, Aaron, the black Republican, he tried to run for president. Not Byron.
No, not him.
Yeah.
What is his dang name?
But we'll get. But you know, what
you're not talking about Ben Carson, right?
No, not Ben Carson. No. Okay, but anyway, the dude that did the he had the viral.
He's on the Breakfast Club.
Yeah, him.
Oh yeah.
The name is there. It's just eclipsing me. Right? It'll come to me.
But him, he's a great thing. He literally said he thought his father hated him, and he had no understanding of manhood. Right. He had no idea that his father was preparing him for the world of that time. And he hated his father, all these different things. And then he ended up sitting down, talking with him on hours and getting the understanding and getting the story and learning, you know what I'm saying, the method and the madness. So again, when we do these things and we say, you know, I don't think you're claiming it as one way, but to say that one way is definitely a bad way when you've had successful black men, a number of them, okay, that have been raised through that method, it just doesn't add up. It doesn't hold weight.
So, Mr. Fantastic, let me correct you on a few things, right?
Larry Elder, yeah, shout out to Airno, yeah, Larry Elder.
No, that was Beans. Beans told me that, yeah.
Number one, Mr. Fantastic, I didn't say being firm with your kids is the wrong way per se. What I said was you need to augment that with teaching them some understanding and the reasons why you're being firm and you're telling them things that they shouldn't be doing, right? That's number one. Number two, when you said, well, if I came up the way I came up, I should be more understanding of fathers pushing their sons out to have to learn life the way I had to learn life. And what I'm going to say to that is that's completely wrong, right? Because the majority of the people who grew up the way I grew up, a majority of my friends that I went to school with, about 90% of them are either in prison or they're dead right now, right? So that's not a tried and true method of success. And then I'm going to end it with a quote, a famous quote, right? And it goes like this: a wise man learns from his own mistakes. A wiser man learns from the mistakes of others. But the wisest man of them all learns from others' successes, right? So as fathers, we have to not only find our own success, but teach the pathways to success to our children. And we shouldn't be relying on another man of another culture or another establishment in order to teach our children the pathways of success, right? Because when we kick them out of our homes and we're putting them in places like the military and we're telling them, go ahead and fend for yourself, even though you don't know how to swim, you need to learn how to tread water, right? We're setting them up for failure because guess what? They have to learn from their own mistakes, right? And that means that they're falling in pit holes and they're finding ways to claw themselves out of it rather than you as a father teaching them, hey, this is a pitfall that I fell into, that if you listen to instructions and listen to and heed to advice, you won't have to fall into these pitfalls. Or this is the pathway of success that I put for myself. And guess what? I'm going to give you all of the tools, all of the knowledge, all the wisdom and understanding so that you can walk that same pathway. And as black men, that is the standard we should be keeping when it comes to our children.
Well, I'm gonna say this because I feel like you went back to the not kicking him out thing, which I think we all agreed on, except for Aaron O, because he's a conservative douchebag. But the fact of the matter, but I'm not gonna dismiss. I'm not being dismissive of you saying you using the term augmentation, right? So I want you to just understand that I heard what you said, right? But I do think when you acknowledge that as parents, including fathers, that we ought to allow for our children to basically give us their sound criticism on how we're parenting, I think that lends toward the notion of it's trial by fire regardless to what you've taught. Because you didn't say if you didn't have a father, you should let your kids tell you how you're doing, right? You just said that as parents, we ought to. And I think that is an acknowledgement that it don't matter how you were raised. Some shit, you just don't know how you're going to do with it until you facing it yourself, right? That's why I said a lot of people think just because they got the kids at home, moms usually be like mentally, hey, he made it to 18. I got him through high school. I did my job. That's how a lot of black moms look at it. I got him through 18. He ain't dead. He graduated high school. I did my job, right? So that I'm telling you, yes, I agree. That's why I said I'm not dismissive of your point about the augmentation of it, right? Because I agree with you on that. And I think, to be honest, Fantastic, if I'm just being transparent, I loathe tough love, even though I understand the need for it in some areas, but I hate it. I just do. Because that's all my family had was tough love and Jesus. And so because of that, I hate tough love and I damn near hate Jesus, right? And it was absolutely not what I needed. What I needed was logical communication, which I never got and still don't get to this day. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I think to the point that Fantastic is making, even though I might not be so, ready to just grasp onto the firmness of it, once you say that you have to allow for your children, make room for your children to be able to, add correction to your parenting skills, I think that negates the point of whether or not you grew up with a father will automatically generate you positive results as a parent.
Look, well, okay, you guys going over the board right now. Let me ask y'all this, right?
Uh-oh.
My house, my rules, right? Y'all agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, can your kids, your grown adult kids, because they got to be adults, because being super literal about this, can they be active in your home?
Hell no.
Wait, what does that mean?
You know what it means. I'm trying. Y'all don't have
intimate.
I have
intimate.
Okay?
Nah, you could have been talking about gangbang. You know what I mean?
Intimate, bro.
Yes.
No, you ain't getting the. Hey, listen. No, no.
Wait, hold on. Fantastic. Brownsville.
So it depends. So if my son is, let's say he's still living in my house, right? Mm-hmm. And he's not married and he's, doing well for himself, right? Mm-hmm. Now, when my son gets to a certain age, I'm already in the process of creating him an outhouse, right? So
God, just answer the question.
so not in my house, but when he moves into his house,
got it. So Bean said yes. I know kind of how he thinks, so I can kind of understand that. The rest of us understand no, that's not happening, right? And for the longest time, the logic of me is I'm paying bills in this house. How you gonna tell me I can't do that, right? That was my thought problem, like, because the logic is there, right? Is that your logic, Beans?
No, my logic is I don't necessarily want to impede my son on his human experiences. The only thing I can say is I don't want to be there. You know what I'm saying? Like, now if I got a house with a basement, he can take his little girlfriend downstairs and I ain't got to hear it, then that's different. I don't want to be there for it, but in my house, absolutely. Yes.
So I'm gonna tell you why the logic of me hit, and then me being kind of like introspective go like, okay, now think about it beyond just the logic part of it. And then it's still, everything is attached to logic with me. We all understand that, right? I can't do it. And the reason why is there are just some things you have to experience about life that me telling you something is not, you're not going to accept it. We understand that. People don't listen to Jesus, so they definitely not going to listen to you just because you they daddy, especially whether you was a player, whether you were just a one man, don't matter. I don't want to kick my kid out while they like daughter, because we mainly talk about sons, because let's be honest, none of y'all dads want to kick y'all daughters out. Let's just be honest, right? Unless she do something crazy. But other than that, oh, that's my baby. So the question is, or the thought is, after someone's pregnant, yeah, you don't want to kick them out after. Get out of my house. So the reason why you want them out is because they have to understand the severity of their actions. And nobody, I don't care what we say, none of us up here will be like, I truly understood, even though I was young, smart, intelligent, all the gravity in which my decisions held. Because I'm looking back at it, I made logical decisions. I made smart decisions. I probably was ahead of a lot of people around my age. I still, looking back, was like, dang, I was really in these circumstances. And I couldn't even imagine the impact it really could have had on me to this day. So the children, you got to get out of this house because you're going to be doing adult things. And when you're doing adult things, you got adult consequences. You got to provide for that family. You going to be having a baby here in my house? Now the baby cry. So it's like, it's a lot of factors that go into it. It's like,
that's absolutely true. Because for some reason, I dated a lot of women with kids when I was younger, starting at 16 years old. You know what I'm saying? My girlfriend at the time had a baby. At 17, my girlfriend at the time had a baby.
You like
what I'm
it
saying?
fast, huh?
Man, listen, I definitely dated a lot of women with kids. Like the only women that I ever dated that didn't have kids, like I'm talking about was in a relationship with that didn't have kids, was the ones I had babies by. Everybody else, the other 5 relationships, they had kids, right? So I know exactly what you mean because now I got them and a kid all in my mama house. You know what I'm saying? Not like they live there, but they there. You know what I'm saying? So, so I understand what you're saying, but I just want to make sure I make this clear because I absolutely wasn't talking about my daughter. My daughter could come live with me, but she damn sure ain't fucking in my house, right? Like that's not happening. Y'all better go get a jacuzzi room or something. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, this is interesting. This is the first time we've seen the switch. Okay, so normally the amount of pressure and burden is on the son. Now we shifting into a little bit of bias for the son to have some fun and the daughter can't. That's interesting.
Absolutely, because like you just said, if my daughter get pregnant, guess where the baby live at?
I get it.
You know what I'm saying? If my son gets somebody pregnant, well, he got to go over there and see his kid. You know what I'm saying? Not that the kid can't come to my house, but the kid don't live here. That's the whole point, right? Not that I want either one of them to do it. I'm just saying, like, that's the difference. Not to mention the fact, if my son, if I just so happen to hear the bed squeaking a little bit because my son having sex, I'm not gonna like it, but I get over it. If the bed squeaking and it's my daughter, people getting hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to hear that shit. No, I don't think no father is really prepared mentally to accept the fact that somebody is going to be pulling his daughter hair, sticking a thumb up.
There you go. You always got to get so. You ain't got no. Oh my, Brownsville. What are your thoughts?
So I'm thinking that when it comes to my daughter, right, and when it comes to my son, I'm having the exact same conversations with both of them when it comes to sex, right? I'm not making a distinction. The only distinction I'm making is, as Beans pointed out, what's going to happen with my daughter as opposed to my son. But the way I'm teaching my son, it's the exact same responsibility, right? So just because if you have sex with a girl and she gets pregnant, guess what? You're going to be held responsible and accountable to do everything you can to be a father to that child, regardless of any type of situation or circumstance, whether it was the first time you had sex, a one-night stand, or what have you, right? You have to become a smart decision maker, and you have to understand that your body is your temple, the same exact way that I'm teaching my daughter, right? I believe.
Hold on, real quick. Let me ask you something, Aaron. Please allow for this one for just 5 seconds. Brownsville, but let's say, and this is just for my own thought. Let's say that the baby mama is like just trying to put your son through hell to be a father to his kid. Are you going to impress upon him to go through that hell, to face it all, go through the courts, do all that extra shit to be a father? Or would you be more on the lines of saying, look, man, you made a mistake. You tried to do your thing. She's, parentally alienating you. Fuck her and that kid. Make a better choice next time.
It's going to be the first thing you said. Yes. Once you make, cause see, that's why the conversations beforehand are very, very important, right? And as men, we have to be teaching our sons the exact same way we're teaching our daughters, because if we're doing that, that is how we're going to be avoiding the single mother problem that permeates in our culture and in our community, right? It's because the men think that they can go out and spread their seeds in so many different places and they don't have the accountability and responsibility of their seed. No, what I'm telling my son is you do. So whoever you decide to put your seed in, that's going to be the person that you might be tied to for the next 18 to 20 years of your life, regardless if you like her or not. So you have to be responsible for your seed. And I tell my daughter, you have to be responsible for your body and who's putting seeds in you, right? And it's the exact same teaching, and I don't hold no punches. I don't believe in giving men or boys the opportunity to escape responsibility or accountability when it comes to that. And I think in our culture, that is why we're causing issues and problems, because we're making a distinction when it comes to the boys versus the girls, right? And we got to stop doing that.
You don't think the consequences are different?
No, I don't think the consequences should be looked at differently. You see, I'm the person who says that when a man has to pay child support, he, instead of paying a 20%, 30%, he needs to be paying 60% to his child. Over 50% or greater, he should be paying to child support, right? He should suffer the same severe consequences as the female, right? That is the only way we're going to correct the issue.
How can you
right?
say that when the female isn't suffering 60%?
Yeah, I'm lost.
Well, here's the thing, right? She's suffering 100% because
Not of her income.
A lot of here's Beans, and you're very logical, so you'll understand this, right? A female can die in childbirth, right? So we gotta understand that as a baseline. It is not easy to deliver a child, right?
Wait. Stop.
And not only that, listen, my wife, hold on, my wife, right? My beautiful wife, she delivered 2 beautiful children for me. But guess what? There's things in her body that was changed forever. No matter how often she worked out, no matter how often she changed her diet and all of those things, she has permanent scars in her body from delivering birth.
You got
right?
you, but you just contradicted yourself though, right? Because
how is that?
Because right now what you're describing is different and exclusive consequences.
Yeah.
You're literally describing exclusive consequences, but you're saying they shouldn't be seen differently.
No, because what I'm saying is and that's why, because men cannot suffer those physical consequences that women suffer, right? Or males can't suffer the consequences that.
So wait, real quick, Brownsville. Brownsville, real quick.
Higher consequences in other ways in order to make up the difference.
But the thing is, like you said, you don't like the perception of viewing children as burdens, whether they are or not. You don't like the perception, that narrative. I don't like it being put out there is that, you know, when women have children, they go through what is it you say they go through?
What I said, they go through a physically altering experience, right? To where
a positive one, right?
Well, positive and negative. Let's be honest about it. It's positive and negative.
You ain't shit, Aaron.
But see, we're talking about the delivering of the child.
It don't matter.
Once the child is here, right? Is that burden is only created if someone is willing to escape responsibility and accountability, right? Yeah. That is the issue, right? If you got a 2-parent household and both the mother and father are willing to share equally in rearing that child should not be looked at as a burden, and that child isn't a burden. That child is a legacy.
See,
right? And you should be looking to pour everything into it. And
this is the thing. Real quick, Brownsville. Did you watch the debate earlier with Fatty and Sharon?
I watched some of it. To me, it wasn't really a debate.
Okay, well, you know, your boy got cooked up, right? And he got cooked up for the main reason that I always tell him is because instead of him processing the information in real time, he just want to say the things that he wants to say, right? So even like now, that's what you're doing. You just want to say the thing that you already said, right? It doesn't make a difference if you saying people shouldn't do this or shouldn't do that. The minute Aaron pointed that out to you, that you are legitimately saying that childbirth is a burden, you should have just fucking admitted it. You should have just acknowledged it and said, damn, you know what? I ain't even think about that. Well, I guess kids can be a burden. Boom.
No, I did though.
Now,
I did acknowledge it.
You can change your projection inside of the conversation. From this
No,
moment
but
on, you
Beans,
the
I
conversation.
did acknowledge it though.
So
That's the issue.
you're saying right now that children can be burdened to women.
No, what I'm saying is children can be burdened to men and women if the rearing of the child isn't done decent and in order. Absolutely. Right? We see it.
But now
Listen,
wait. See, you're not blaming the children. Now you're blaming the parent again because you're saying it's
yes,
based on the rearing of
absolutely.
the child.
Because it's always, listen, and
But
that's the thing,
that's
man.
for
It's
saying that
always
about
on
how
the parent.
women's body change when they are pregnant with children. You're making an exclusive condition for women when it comes to pregnancy, and yet you're saying you don't think men and women should be viewed differently based on it. You're acknowledging that this change that happens to them can be a burden to them inside. No matter what they do, eat, diet, none of that shit, body ain't never gonna be the same. And yet you don't want to accept the fact that even though you're telling them after this change happens, after this burden to their body occurs, that they still shouldn't see their children as a burden. See, this is the part where I want you people in this space to be willing to fucking concede. Right? So to show the rest of the world who may watch these shows that just because we black don't mean we stupid. We ain't got to down these fucking heels because we got a talking point that we want to push. Right? Make it okay to accept some shit. Like, damn, you know what? He got me right there. That's a good ass point. Right? That you don't have to say that you people ought to view their children as burdens, but you are acknowledging that in some form of another they can be, and it's not because of the parent, but the child itself and what it brings to the table can be a fucking burden. Right? Now, past that part,
I disagree, Bing.
Okay, you disagree. You disagree. Okay, well, wait. But past that part, this is what I want to know. So I get it. You saying, you hey, listen, son, you had sex with this girl, you made this baby, right? You need to take care of it. But the question that I asked you was if the woman is parentally alienating him. Don't want to let him see his kid. He trying to go through the court system. It's been a year, 2 years. They still ain't gave him no motherfucking no rights to see his children, no weekend visits, no nothing to see his kid. Not he running away, but he trying, and the woman is impeding and making his life hell, trying to be a father to his kid. That's what I'm asking you. Would your suggestion then be to stay through the hell and be a father, or son, you only got one life, you tried, move the hell on?
Absolutely. He got to walk through that fire. And that is why I teach beforehand the consequences of putting your seed in places that you probably shouldn't.
100%. So, because you don't think it should be exclusive for men or women, then that means you're pro-life.
Absolutely.
Okay. And that means you're anti-adoption.
Absolutely not.
Well, my son, you just proved that you're a hypocrite.
How so?
Because you should want the women to walk through the fire just as much as you want the man to walk to the fire. No matter how hard it gets, no matter how difficult it gets, find a way, walk through the fire. You made the choice. You opened up your legs. You don't get to give up this baby that you birthed into the world. Walk through the fire.
Well, I will concede to that point that you just made, right? But when you talked about being anti-adoption, I was talking about on the receiving end of it, which means that should people adopt children, choose to adopt children, and I absolutely believe they should.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, absolutely. We agree. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But, in order for that process to happen, people have to give up their children.
That is correct.
Right. So that's the part that I'm asking. You okay with women giving up children?
No.
Okay. That makes sense. There you go. So right now, watch me. I'm going to do the same thing that I asked everybody else to do. I appreciate the fact that you're consistent. What you just said was consistent with your own logic. So I can, even if we disagree, it doesn't matter. I appreciate the consistency.
Well, Y'all both wrong. And I don't know what y'all wrong about. I just want to say
Yeah,
you're both wrong. Oh man. So we've actually done a lot here. So we've established that look, if your parents can't take care, you gotta go. Being said, my daughter can't have none of the boom boom room in my house, but my son, look, go to the basement. So Brownsville's like, I want to keep it consistent with each child and hold the standards both the same. We should be telling them the same thing, although we both know that's not going to happen and it's not very much possible to be consistent because experiences and outcomes are going to be different for the boy that becomes a man and the daughter that becomes a woman. The experience is going to be so different because her body changes. It just changes. The way that the man's body just does not change. So different consequences.
We heard you about to go into that song, nigga.
Oh, my man, I don't know, man. I don't even be knowing these songs, tell you the truth. It's just really interesting, but I really have shifted so much on this. Why at first I thought the black families were just at fault because they was kicking their kids out. But when I really sat back and I removed like everything that people said to me and just what we say on these panels, they'll be kicking us out. They don't teach us nothing. And I really reflect and I go, do parents that's doing well really kick their kids out? Not really. Kids that's going to school, working, and following the house rules, do they really kick them out? Not really. It really comes down to the kids, and let's just be honest, most of the kids are defiant. I know y'all don't want to acknowledge that's most of the reasons. It's either the parents are struggling, barely getting by, and they can't sustain you any longer. And one, they want to just be done. Like, I'm sorry, I've done this long enough. It was hard. Parenting ain't necessarily for everybody, but I still did it because in life we got to deal with our consequences or our actions, our decisions. But realistically, I think it's our nature to not want to, and this is just me observing, to not want to listen to our parents and their rules no more. That's why we want out. This is why people say, I can't wait till I get my own spot.
Absolutely.
So I think it's more of that. And I think we don't actually do it differently than other groups. It's because we are different. We think different and we operate differently, whether it's right or wrong. And we don't want to be told what to do. So, like, look, I'm going to get my job and I want to be the king of this castle because that's all I heard is I got to do what you say because it's your house. Now, if we stop saying that, which
I think that's a good take. I think that's a good take.
Because either man say he ain't kicking his kids out if they get pregnant. I'm like, so you just gonna let? All right, so
it makes sense.
What is the consequence if your daughter get pregnant in your home? What
can you do? I mean,
and that's why I said the reason that I would want my kids out, not saying that I want to kick them, not saying that I want to or have a desire to. It's once they're out on their own, they have to do adult things. You have to go to the adulting part of life. You have to start taking on certain responsibilities that you have no desire to, right? And fall in line there. But also, I know you're going to do something in which I don't want you to do. I don't want you sleeping with nobody. I don't want you active at all. You're not prepared. You're not ready for that, right? But I also know this.
See, you saying you not prepared, but you not prepared because you didn't fucking prepare them. That's why they not prepared.
No. Okay. All right. So you can prepare. So you saying you recommend if they your child and you prepare them to go ahead and have kids at 18?
If they prepared for it, yeah.
Okay, I'm asking you, is there a way to prepare somebody to have their own kids at 18?
Absolutely. Bro, I just read an article last year on the show.
Okay, stop. Okay.
From fucking college at 15 years old.
I accept it. So my question then becomes, then this is not a black problem then, because I'd argue that most of these other groups are not trying to get their kids to have no kids at 18. And we're saying the argument is those kids are more established. Those kids have more solid parenting. We can't say two things.
But Aaron, they're still not being prepared for that though. That's the point. They're being what do we always say about the other demographics? Where do we always say they go to find their husbands? So That's what I'm saying. They're still not being prepared to do it at 18. They being prepared to do it at 22.
That's what I'm saying. So they not. I guess I'm saying that those other groups are not giving them that advantage. They're getting a slight other advantage, I guess, in some other area, which is totally fine.
Well, they are still being prepared to do it earlier.
I don't know.
I ain't saying that they are. I'm saying that they're being prepared to do it earlier, specifically if the majority of them are coming from these two-parent households.
It's hard to judge if they're prepared, if they're avoiding, right? Because I understand you saying, like, I gave you, but if people avoid things that they're prepared for and that they most likely can process and do decent at, most people don't avoid those things. Most people avoid things that they're afraid of. Most people are afraid of failing. I don't think most people are prepared or even close to prepared. That's why they're avoiding.
I don't think you
right. And Aaron, I agree with that point, right? And that's why the way you prepare them is by pointing to someone else's failure, right? So when it came to my daughter, I bought my niece, who unfortunately
I don't know. I think he had to mute himself. I don't know what happened.
No. So I bought my niece, who through a bad choice, right? She ended up being pregnant, right? Having a child, right? I bought her to speak to my daughter and to give her wisdom as far as to how she made that choice and the consequences of that choice, so she can hear it from a family member that she trusts, right? Like I said, the quote, a wiser man learns from the mistakes of others. So I brought her in there to kind of impart that wisdom onto her, to say, hey, if you choose to go down this road and make a bad choice like your cousin just did, now you're going to be suffering this same fate and these same consequences, right? So she let her know, hey, listen, I don't get to go out to the movies, go out to eat, none of those things. Guess what? Because everywhere I go, my daughter has to come with me, right? Certain things that she can teach her that I can't teach her, right? Those things that she has to learn from her cousin's experience. And then from that point, she can decide to make a decision. Hey, do I want to go down this path or do I want to avoid that path?
So,
wait, let me say this on real quick. Because I don't think you considering the responsibility factor too, though, right? So what we've seen a lot with the Mexicans and shit out in the western suburbs of Chicago, when they first start really developing this area called Aurora, and we would see them 3-4 families to a house, to a car, right? It wasn't that they couldn't go do it on their own, but it would be more difficult. They could do it, but it benefited the whole. It benefited the group for them to do it together first. Because everybody was able to save more, build more, all of that other shit. So now once they step out, they stepping out a certain way. And that's what I'm saying. Like even with my cousin, one of my cousins, she had her son and her daughter working and shit while they was in high school. She had them saving money. When they graduated high school, I think her son had a little less than 20,000, but her daughter had like 60. Right? Because they was matching them as they were saving and shit too. Of course, the boys was spending more than the girl. You know how boys are. But she graduated high school with 60 bands. Now, this came from her working and her mom and dad matching. But you know, she still started off at 18 years old with $60,000. So she was able to go buy her not a brand new car, but she was able to go get her a car, pay her $9,000 and still have all this money in the bank. That was 4 years ago. She just graduated from U of L with a degree in nursing, right? So they was preparing her for certain things in life is what I'm saying. Fatty talked about how You know, a lot of people of white people and people of means, what they would do when their children is born, open up those index funds and start putting that money in there. So when their kid turn 18, they starting off their adulthood with a nest egg. This is so you can go out here and get a start at life. Try it. Even if you fall off, you can come back. You can get right back to it. Boom. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I mean when I say preparing them for it. Because honestly, look at what waiting for a long time does.
Was that a 2-parent household or just a single mom?
Well, I think he talked mostly about white people doing that. So I was
no. I'm saying the brother and the sister.
Oh yeah, 2-parent household. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
2-parent household.
Yeah. So there's a lot of factors that goes kind of back to Brownsville Park when he said the men are failing, right? Because I don't know if you hear that coming from a lot of single moms that have 2 children that are able to accomplish it. I'm not saying they don't. It's probably more rare, but to be honest, a lot of people don't open up 529s. They don't open up those accounts early for their kids. Now, I will say this, the education is out there now. More people have access to knowing that you can actually have these type of investments. Most people didn't even know this stuff existed. So we have to be acknowledged that one part. But I'm just going to tell you, most people are not willing to sacrifice certain things. Like, are you going to give up your sneaker addiction? Are you going to give up those purses that you want so bad? Are you going to give up those nice clothes that you can afford to have? Are you going to give up that addiction to food, drinks, alcohol, things like that, so that all that money that you would have spent on the things that make you happy and have fun, you're going to funnel that on to give an advantage to your kids financially? Most people are not foregoing that.
No, that's absolutely true. But that's my argument for why it comes back to a preparation thing and not so much that they can't do it. I believe that you can absolutely prepare an 18-year-old girl to be a fucking housewife. That can absolutely be done. And I don't think she should be doing that with an 18-year-old boy, though. Right? I don't think you can prepare an 18-year-old boy necessarily to be the provider, protector that is expected of a husband with a housewife, because they usually can't make that kind of money, right?
So you just can't necessarily have no kids immediately. An 18-year-old can work 2 to 3 jobs.
Well, God, see what I'm saying? Now, okay.
No, I know what you're saying. Like, dang, his whole life is dedicated to just providing. But I get it. I totally do. I'm saying there are actions and there's things you can do.
Well, if there ain't no kids, she can work too, though.
Yeah, but there's an advantage to what you're doing for her, because the activities there and the actions exist within her, so she doesn't have to be outsourced. That is internal, like you said. It's innate. It's directly attached to her birth. For the son, he has to go out and acquire resources and things like that outside of just his being. So it's harder.
Is that not an argument? I don't know how to word it. I think, to me, that's the perfect argument that I can never come up with. To me, that's the perfect argument for it. Like if we playing tennis, advantage man, right? Like, because I have to acquire the things that you require of me, and you don't. You're legitimately born with it.
So the acquisition part versus the implementation part, right? So she does have to acquire the information, the knowledge, the dedication, the discipline, etc., and all those things. But you can tend to give those things earlier, right? You can give that earlier access, right? As opposed to what the son or the male, the boy, what he has to go out and get is outside of his being. He has to get things that he can't just have just being there. You see, he can't just go, I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be considerate. I'm going to be thoughtful. He has to go acquire a level of resources that is harder to attain at his age, because there is competition for that. For her piece, there is not a competition.
And that's why
I got a question for y'all real quick, though.
Hold on, Brownsville. Hold on, Brownsville. Brownsville, I'm finna say something. I want you to respond to this before you answer your actual question. Aaron, no. That is why if both my son and my daughter lived with me, I believe, right? And I'm saying I believe because I never had this. I believe that I would be like a lot of these black mamas is. That I would be trying to push my daughter out more than I would my son. Because I believe that the world is already set up for my daughter to have more success early than it is for my son. It's going to be a tougher route for him to get to the success.
Why do you believe that, B?
For her. I'm looking at the world. I'm looking at how it's facilitated right now. Black women right now only earn $2,000 less than black men yearly right now. The median income for black men, according to BLS, is 48. For black women, is 46. Now, they outnumber us by 2 million. That matters. Nobody ever wants to add that into the equation, right? That matters. But the fact of the matter is it does not change the fact that the playing field, it has been leveled for them. They can absolutely go out here, and whether it's through education, whether it's through corporate America, whether it's through investment, business, entrepreneurship, it's so much available and ready for our women out here, more so than it is for the men, as far as it just being readily available.
So can I ask you a question on that line of thinking, Beans? So Can you tell me, you got an 18-year-old son and an 18-year-old daughter, right? Let's say they're twins, and now there is time for both of them to go out into the world and learn adulthood, right? Let's say you were one of those parents. Once you turn 18, you're out of the house, right?
Yeah.
What advantages that your daughter at 18 would have versus your 18-year-old son wouldn't have?
College. School itself.
How so?
Because
how is college an advantage for your 18-year-old daughter and a disadvantage to your 18-year-old son?
So this is the part where you have to kind of accept some information maybe that you might not have. School itself, the learning environment of school itself is conducive to girls more so than it is to boys.
So let me ask you a question. And this leads to the question I wanted to ask originally.
But wait,
right?
First you have to tell me whether or not you believe or accept that. The condition of school itself is not necessarily conducive to the learning style of the average, or I would even argue most boys, especially black ones.
No, I disagree with that. Because if I was to concede to that, Beans, then I would also have to concede that is even apparent in high school, right? So the education system doesn't change from high school to college as far as systematically, right? Like once they graduate high school and they go into college, they're not learning a different system. They're just learning how to get education and being more free with getting their education. It means that they have more self-responsibility in order to show up, go to class, take notes, do their projects, et cetera, right? So that's what I think the distinction is.
So here's my question to you then, right? I want you to think about this. Don't say the things that you think you're supposed to say. Actually think, process the information first, right? Like I always be trying to tell Sharon, right? So what is the reason that you think particularly black boys don't seem to be conducive with the education system? You think it's just because they black boys?
No. So I think the reason why that's the issue is because, once again, and y'all not gonna like this answer, but it's the fault of the black man, right? So the black man is not imparting the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the advantages of the getting an education to their sons the way the black mothers are doing it to the black daughters, right?
Well, stop right there. Wait. You just said a whole lot. Wait.
Oh, you should have let him finish.
I know. I know. I don't want him to do that. He's been doing well this show. He's survived this show. So and he's actually got to experience something that he can't run over to the show and be like, it's the real, and ain't none of that over here. I actually, we have very, very productive conversations and challenging ones, especially if I choose to do so. I want to ask you this. Are you saying the black mothers, because you wanted to talk about the black mother, are incapable of teaching their sons the same thing that they teach their daughters about the value of education?
No, I believe that sons naturally are going to rebel against their mothers when it comes to knowledge, wisdom, and understanding at a certain age, right? So that son, and I'm a prime example of that, right? When I reached a certain age, I felt like, well, my mother can't teach me how to be a man. That's something that I have to now learn on my own because my father wasn't there.
What's that got to do with education?
Well, what it comes down to is listening and being obedient to your mother, and I guess understanding to, you know, take advice from your mother. I think when it comes to boys, it's done differently. They make a distinction, right? And even in my own household, right? I can tell my son something, and my wife can tell the son the exact same thing. He's going to respond differently to that same instruction, whether it comes from me, whether it comes from my wife.
I need an example. I need.
Oh, because watch this. This is. Let me tell you something. Let me say this first, because I always want people to do it for me, so I'm gonna do it too. I think he's actually making a good point. It's making me mad because it's making me agree with him again. He's actually making a good point, right? I argued earlier that the reason why we see the biggest issue in schools that we see is because of the dynamic between teachers, male teachers and female teachers is like 80% female, right? So it's just not enough male energy, male testosterone energy in there to stifle that of these young men who believe they are becoming men, right, at the same time. So you need more male presence in schools, and then I think you would see what we see going on in the schools quell some.
I totally agree with that.
But Brownsville, this is why I really wanted you to keep talking, right? Because here's the issue with what you're saying, right? The problem is this. I would ask you, how is it possible that these boys without these same fathers somehow seem to gravitate and also elevate in sports?
Well, the reason why, Beans, is because they've been identified as at a young age, right? That they were good at it. So there have been men who typically, when it comes to sports, men are the coaches, right? So there's gonna be
wait. I don't mean like they play for some college. I just mean they're good at it, period. I just mean no matter where you go in this country, when you go into an urban community, it's basketball courts all across the city, everywhere, inside, outside, and it's young black boys in there, no fathers, somehow taking to it, getting it done. Could put that ball in the basket.
Right. And here's the thing. They practicing at it a lot, right? Because in our culture, ingrained, especially in the hood, right? Especially where I was from in Brownsville, right? We were taught that there's only two ways out of the hood, right? One way was sports, and the other way was to become a drug dealer and to actually make it out. Right? So those were the two things that was ingrained in us. So what do kids do when they're 5, 6 years old? They're going to be starting to play sports, and they're going to be doing it every single day because they're told that that's a way out.
Right, but this is the thing. So that was ingrained in you in Brownsville. That's not everywhere else in the country. And I don't care where you go across the country, young boys is playing basketball on courts all over the country, everywhere, getting it done. White, black, Mexican, Puerto Rican, it don't matter. But here's the real answer, because I don't want to have to prolong it, right? You know why they're able to do that? Because the sports environment is conducive to the learning of boys. It's activity organized. That's why they're able to do that, because they're out there learning in a kinesthetic way. They're learning by moving and doing. That's why. That school learning is not conducive to young boys learning. Young boys don't learn by sitting in front of a chalkboard for 8 hours a fucking day. That is not conducive to most boys, not black ones, right? So this is what I'm trying to explain to you. If you look in our community, if you go to the collegiate level,
more than 6, I think it's like 63%. It's more than 60, but like 63% of all degrees, associates, bachelor's, master's, and PhDs, go to women. It's not because they're smarter than us, but the school system is specifically set up for women. It is set up and designed and structured in a way that is more conducive to their learning styles.
So that might be true, Beans, but men can still do it. Obviously, there's men are still graduating, men are still getting degrees, men are still they can be very exceptional in school, right? We kind of focus on women for obvious reasons because if we gear toward the Black community, I guess the way that I look at it is that when it comes to sports, it has a challenge, a hierarchy, basically, and an outcome. So when we play, this is what I got to do, and if I do this, I win. This is not no jumping. This ain't no jump rope where we just keep going and there's no actual victor. There's a structure, there's a hierarchy in place, and there's an outcome for my action. So men understand I do this happens. You know, when you're in school, it's like, all right, I read a book. Maybe I retained it, maybe this, but there's no actual like I don't know what's the right word to use. Like there's no reinforcing a good action after you read 6 pages. However, if you play basketball and you make a shot, there's a response to it. There's an advantage. You're up, the score goes. You see what I'm saying? Right. That's why we respond so much to
organized.
Say again.
It's organized.
Oh, okay. You said organized. I don't know what else I thought. I heard.
That's what they call it when it's not professional. They call it organized sports, right? It was men's night leagues in Chicago. Like this is how conducive men are to the sports arena, right? It's because of the fact that men have what's called gross motor skills, right? So we learn better during activity, not just sitting still. That's just a fact, particularly as it pertains to Black boys. Dr. Kunjufu, Jawanza Kunjufu was talking about this shit in the 80s.
Yep.
When he wrote his book, The Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys.
Yep.
Right? So that's what I'm saying. Remember, I'm responding to his question about what advantage do women have. Well, we know right now, if you're not going into a trade, right, you better be going to school. And that school thing, right, seems to be more of a focus for women for a reason. It's way more conducive. But the thing about the trades is this. Go talk to some brothers that's actually in those unions and ask them what it looks like. Ask them the hills that they have to climb. Ask them to this day, I'm talking 2024. Ask them about the racism and the oppression that they have to face trying to get work and be a part of those unions, particularly when they're trying to start their own businesses as well and use union workers. Ask them what it's like. Then go ask the sisters what the college life is like. And if they're afraid, if they're facing as much racism or oppression. Yeah, this system is absolutely designed for the women to win because you see they're going automated at this point. They don't need a bunch of men as labor anymore.
But Beans,
women doing the job they have now.
Do you believe that part of that issue is a product of boys not being taught to be decisive in their vision and plans for their lives? Right?
No, it has absolutely nothing to do with that.
Well, because I'm gonna give you this example. So, I heard that in most of the, I guess, the college visits, right, where parents are taking their sons and daughters onto these colleges to tour them and to visit with the colleges to determine what they want to major in and all those kind of things. The females are more decisive in their vision and plan that they want to study versus the boys when they're being asked, well, what do you want to major in or what job field you want to go into? They have no idea.
Right. You know why that is? So here's the biggest reason why that's the case. Because most of the time When boys are trying to get through high school, the last thing they want to do is go to college. That's 12 years of school I just went through. I don't want to go to school. I want to be grown. I just want to be grown. I want to be able to hang out. I want to chase girls. I want to be able to play my video game. If my parents have had me conducive to work, like my son get up and go to work every day. You know what I'm saying? But he don't want to have to go work 40 hours a week. He don't want to have to go work 60 hours a week. But he get up and go to that 6-hour-a-day job. He been doing that consistently for almost 3 years. And he saved his own money and bought his own car. Right? So it's not like the work ethic ain't necessarily there. But the one thing he don't want to do is go to college. Like fuck that school shit. Another 4, 6, 8 years of having to get up every day, lug all these books, read all this shit, take all these tests. Boys don't be wanting to put themselves through that shit.
No, well, there's a problem with that, right? So let me tackle that. But first, I got to give a shout out to my dog, Shadow Dragon TV. Came through and gifted 1 membership to the
GBG in full effect.
Full effect. Shadow Dragon TV says, been in the clouds. Hope all is well, brother. Yes. Life is wonderful. I couldn't have imagined half of it because I'm too practical, right? So big shout out to Shadow Dragon TV. Beans, I think the difference is this. Women read fantasy for a reason. They're much bigger on reading fantasies and novels that allow them to fantasize. We don't have the luxury to fantasize. So we have to be practical because the things in which we are to encounter, the gravity to it's much, I don't want to say it because it sounds a little skewed there, but I guess the way to describe it is that Brownsville gonna kick his son out before he kick his daughter out, no matter what he say, because his ultimate thing is I'm gonna protect my daughter for life. That's not for the son. His ultimate thing is he has to get his son to be able to protect himself and to be prepared to go protect other people. That's just the facts of life. We don't have the luxury to fantasize. So I tell people all the time, I didn't have no dream. I wasn't dreaming about being no astronaut. My mind never got to a point where I could fantasize and dream. It wasn't there. We're so early on. A lot of us mostly put in a position where we have to be extremely pragmatic. So there is no dreaming. And so the reason I'm saying that is that women are not experiencing that at the highest rate. So the problem with that is women are playing the patient and long game. So yes, they're like, yeah, if I get this degree, it can lead to this. And they're not looking to pay for dates. They're not looking to have things distract them the way that men do. Men don't want to not deal with women and go to school. You see what I'm saying? Women are perfectly fine for the most part if they have a goal and it's curriculum based and it's structured. They are easily good at following that. Men are not. We don't really like following rules so much, and it shows in our everyday behavior. We are very defined in a lot of ways. That's why we need to build a level of discipline. And for that, it involves you being prudent and future thinking beyond just 4 to 8 years, because that 4 to 8 years could set you up for the next 50 years.
No, absolutely it could. But Aaron, think about what you just said. You just said the women don't want to pay for dates, but men know they have to.
Yes.
Going to school ain't gonna help me pay for these dates I'm trying to get on. You understand? So that's another reason why it's like that school shit. I'm looking at some stats now from this one website. I don't know how accurate this is, but it says 64% of bachelor degrees, 71% of master's degrees, 65% of doctoral, medical, and dental degrees, the PhD degrees, right? And it's about the same thing for the associate degrees. They just not showing it on here. I had it from another page that I saved.
Mm-hmm. No, I know what you're talking about.
But when I posed the question to Brownsville, you see, he was able to go to everything else except for the structure itself. It can't, like, people just can't even fathom that, right? Like, people can't fathom that even in 2024, there are structures and integral, what do they call the infrastructure of the country, right? As far as it pertains to the educational system, the financial systems, the grant systems, all these other different things. They just cannot fathom, right, that any of these things can be prepared to be conducive to that of a woman and not that of a boy. It blows their mind to even consider that. Nope. If boys are not doing well in school, then that means there's something wrong with the boys. That means there's something wrong with the fathers. That means there's something wrong with the grandfathers. It got to be that. It can't be the system itself, right? But then, like I said, you take them same boys who can't fucking learn in school and you put them on a basketball court and somehow they get it done, right? So you put them in the kitchen and start boiling up the crack. Somehow they get it done. Notice that all of these are activities that you're actually doing. This gross motor skills. Learning by doing. You want to teach me how to do something? You do it. I watch you do it. I watch you do it. I watch you do it. Then I replicate it. And now at some point, you know what it becomes? Muscle memory. That's how boys learn.
I got one rebuttal, brother. Just one.
Who is that? Mo?
Yeah, what's going on, Beans?
What up, boy?
I'll contribute something to this conversation. For the sake of learning, I think for the most part with men, it's not that much big of a difference between men and women. I think for the most part it's the motivations. I think men for the most part find it hard to be motivated. When you talk about sports and teams, it's easy to find motivation there. It's energy driven. It's all about getting to the goal, and it's a short goal at that too. Like you were saying, like your son said, I want this now. I don't want to be here for 8 years. And as Aaron was saying, like women are more patient. Men have more rambunctious and they more short tasks. If anything, I think the men, when it comes to women, are more focused on one thing at a time. Like they're really good at one thing, really good at one thing. This is why I think when you look at different fields, when you look at people who are masters of certain crafts, the majority of them are men. It's just that simple. I don't care what field you go into, when it's cooking, mechanic, or anything, the master most likely is going to be a man. Now, you can say that's because over time, when they have women opportunities, women are going to probably shine eventually at some point, but I don't know. We'll see. I believe that women are very diverse in the way that they task and multitask. And that's why they can't hone in on one thing precisely and just stay to that one thing. I believe women like to do multiple things.
So I think the reason that exists is could you tell me what a woman's burden on this earth is?
Man, what they say all the time, a man's the biggest problem.
They don't have to deal with them though, right? If they don't want to.
No, they have to deal with men. They have no choice. We live with them.
We live with them. Okay, and so
in society, I'm saying society, they complain about us all the time. We're a burden to them. Just our existence could be a burden to them.
Okay. I guess then you would deliver the exact reverses. Men's biggest burden would be women. Then I'm guessing that's how you would.
No.
Oh, interesting.
Right. No, because the biggest burden, honestly, is man himself. Another man will be a bigger burden to you than a woman.
Never.
No. Reason why I say that is because who runs this shit? Who runs this shit? Other men. Who enforces shit? Men. Your biggest obstacle is going to be a man, not a woman.
Yeah, but that. You know why that's not true? Because what you see more often than not, you know why you don't see as many criminals as you see people with as you see employees, right? More often than not, this system that was created, men can't get with it. It is what it is. There's some stuff you're gonna do. You're gonna rebel.
But who created that system? That's what I'm saying.
That's not the point. Think about what the question was about, it being a burden. And that's what I'm saying. It won't necessarily be a burden. You know what I'm saying? But dealing with a woman will. Right? Because the system can say, you're supposed to do 35 miles per hour right here. Well, I'm going to do 50 because the fuck I want to. Right? And I might get seen by the police. Maybe. I might get a ticket. Maybe. Right? But that's a whole different ball game than I had a baby by the wrong chick. That's a whole different ball game than I married the wrong chick.
Wait. No, it's not. No, it's not.
That's a way bigger burden.
It's not. The reason why I say that is because at the end of the day, you as an individual make decisions. It's all you, Beans. If you want to take you want to take a route and say women are my biggest burden. That's just saying women are your biggest weakness. That's all you're saying to me right now.
No,
You're
it's
saying,
not.
oh, what? That's
It's
what
not.
you just said. That's what you
No,
just said
it's
in
not.
translation, because there are lots of burdens in the world, and the one
Mo,
that you like the most, which is women, that's the one that's your biggest burden.
No, Mo. Look at you have to use the examples that I used. I made a decision.
Okay, you said you decided to sleep with a girl. You said you had a baby mama. That was a bad decision on your part,
Wait a
right?
minute,
I'm
man,
sticking to
just
your
one
example.
second. I can tell you what I said use my examples.
Yes.
Not
Okay.
examples. In the very
I'll
first
use-
example, the speed limit is 35. I want to go 50. That's what I want
Your
to do.
decision. Yes, your decision.
Right. Now I get police see me, boom, I get caught, speeding ticket. That's $100. That ain't nowhere near as much of a burden as what my bitch is putting me through right now, nigga.
But why?
That
The thing
ain't
is, you
nowhere
chose
near-
her though, but you chose that woman still too.
I chose the speed too.
But the whole point I'm talking about is accountability. That's the whole thing. That's still a you problem.
We're arguing. We're not arguing whether or not you're accountable. We're arguing which one is the bigger burden. Because Aaron made the preposition that maybe a woman would be a man's biggest burden, and you're saying they're not. And I'm giving you an example of why they would be.
Okay, so the consequences for dealing with a woman are more severe than the consequences you can deal with out here in the world. Period.
More often, yes. More often than not, absolutely. Because most niggas ain't out here murdering people. I'm sorry, deleting people.
So so to your point, and I'm still going to say to the point, I believe it's mostly because your desire is the woman itself, and that's why that's the biggest burden for you, particularly. Because that's not my biggest burden. There's no way in hell my wife is a bigger burden than anything I got going on in my life. That is crazy.
I want you to think about what you're doing right now, Mo. You just made it about me and you. We're having a.
But you're saying most men, their biggest problem. But you're saying for most men, their biggest problem is a woman.
Yes. Which one? Mo, which one? Let me ask you this question. Please answer it. Let me ask you this question. Please answer it. Which one do most men do? Involve themselves with women or commit crime?
That's only two burdens. You act like
see what I said?
Please
but
answer two.
Which one do men do most? Involve themselves with women or commit crimes?
Involve themselves with women.
Simple, right?
Obviously. So get to the point. Please get to the point.
But this is what I'm saying. You said the example that you used was that men would be another man's biggest burden because they're the ones who create the society and all this other stuff. And I'm saying more often than not, men get along in society.
Bro, that is not
more
true.
Often than not, they do.
That's not true.
What? What the fuck?
That's not true.
You trolling me?
When I say most men get along, you say they get along, they have a certain guy's respect. There's always a threat of danger between men. I don't like all men for most part, okay? There's some I have respect for, but there's a lot more that I don't know and I don't give a fuck about. And that's the thing. Most men don't give a fuck about other men. Period.
Okay, I hate to do this because this is anecdotal, and I just got on you about being anecdotal. Aaron, how long you been an adult?
My whole life.
Shut the hell up. How many years, man?
Since I was probably 12. So it's good.
So since you've been 18 to however old you are now, have you had any fights?
Since I've been an adult, I don't think adults should fight. One, maybe two.
One, maybe two.
Yeah, because it got crazy. I was kind of like a brawl there, but yeah.
Okay, one, maybe two. Here's what my belief is, Mo. I believe that is the story of most men. Most men ain't even had a fight in their adult life. I swear to God.
I agree with
your
that
argument. Wait, Beans, I hear your argument. You're going off of crime being a burden versus women. That is still your argument, and you're acting like crime is the only burden. Right now. But listen. Your argument is simple. You're saying that bad things don't happen because most men want to be civil. That's one thing that you're saying. And because men deal with women more so than dealing with crime, that is your perception of reality of the burden. I'm simply saying the system that you keep talking about, who was that created by? And how does that impact men every day?
Absolutely, I get that point.
So if that is a bigger burden, life in itself, and everything that we as men have set up, are we not our biggest burden?
Okay, stop, because you're going back and forth. Let me ask you this question. The system that men set up, are you saying women don't experience the same burden as men in that system?
No, they have a different, they definitely have a burden, but it's different. It's not the same, because I would say women have more grace in general to have to deal with the system. Men don't get grace in this system.
And we're specifically addressing what you asked, Aaron, which was whether or not a woman would be a man's biggest burden. And that's why I'm saying man, right? That's why I'm talking about an adult man, not a kid, right? But a man. And I'm saying when I look around, most men, they all right, man. Like they go to work, you know what I'm saying? They got a couple of homies they've been cool with, catch a couple of games, drink some beers, right? Their biggest burdens in their lives are absolutely their fucking women and children.
Wait. I just thought about this. When you said people have jobs, first off, in the US, I can see that you can see the Western society as being as cush as it is. It ain't that way in other places in Asia, Africa, South America. Hell no. Our biggest burden is a man anywhere else around the world. You want to talk about violence? Go to South America. You want to talk about anything else? I understand you can see the perception of how America is. It's great and grand over here. You go in the third world country, you're gonna find out real quick. Your biggest burden ain't no woman. That's most men. We are in the top. No, America is in the top 10%. Okay,
you don't have to belabor it. That's a great point.
That's a great point. Point will be accepted. Just for my 4 cents. Dang, you made me almost mess it up. Boys learn what they see as value. Boys learn what they see as value. Learn what they see equals value. I'm not sure how to interpret that.
I'm not either.
I think what he's saying is that males are more visual learners versus auditory learners.
Absolutely.
And females can be better auditory learners than males can.
I don't know if that's true.
That is a fact.
I don't know. I don't know.
Bullshit, Aaron. Stop bullshit, Aaron.
No, how you gonna say women are auditory learners more so often than men? Like, where are we basing that?
Yeah, what I'm saying is this: if we like say we're talking about math, right? If you're in a class and there's a girl in the class, and the problem is XY minus Z3 plus 4 to the square root, right? If the teacher is saying how to do it, I absolutely 100% believe the girl will get it faster than the boy. No question. No question.
Guys are way better at math. Okay,
that's not the point. See, that's not the point. I get guys are way better because you're saying that guys are way better at math. But what I'm saying is they learned it a certain way, right? Once you learn it, anything you learn, I think men would be better at it. But the fact of the matter is, how did they learn it, right? If a motherfucker just say it, I think women absolutely learn better by listening. Men learn by doing. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You want to teach a boy how to change the tire? You don't say what you do is you get the tire iron and you unloosen the screws, you take the towel, put the other towel, and then you take them out there, you put the tire iron in his hand, you let him take the motherfucking lug nuts off. You got them, or I'm sorry, I guess you should jack the damn car.
I don't think that's gender based though. I just think that's based upon. I don't think it's gender based. I think that's based upon your abilities.
Aaron, it's me.
Yeah, I know you feel strongly about this.
No, it's not feel strongly. You know I don't talk this passionately about shit that I haven't studied.
Yeah, I know that.
But wait, Beans, there's an argument parts we're just saying the whole show me, teach me type thing.
Right.
I'm in the military, right? And when we come to gun training, that's right now, you would think that dudes will pick up the gun and be good at it, and everyone kind of sucks. But the ones who pick up faster are the women. Why is that? Because women take their time and ask questions. Most men ain't trying to ask questions to understand, have a better understanding of what they're doing. They just want to see and react. That is the antithesis. That's the problem, though, I would say, when it comes to learning. They're not patient enough to learn.
That's a fact.
But you just named something, but you just named the thing that may be true about, right? I would prefer to look those stats up myself I believe that's probably anecdotal towards you, but my mom is a great shot. So I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. But I'm just saying, overall, right? When you look at gross motor skills, you're talking about throwing and catching, kicking, doing cartwheels, skipping, swimming, riding a bike, skateboard, rollerblading, ice skating, right? Like, who the fuck is better at all of that shit? Right? It's absolutely men. And that's what I'm saying, because we gravitate towards it more because it most benefits our learning style.
Right.
So-
So beans, what you're talking about is males gravitating towards instant gratification.
No,
Right.
I'm talking about males gravitating towards learning how to do something by doing it.
Right.
Don't sit on the
and
don't
by
sit in a
doing it,
desk for
and
8
by
hours
doing
and write some shit on a chalkboard, right?
Right,
Like,
but beans, by
Yeah.
doing it, they're getting the gratification of seeing their results. And males gravitates towards seeing that completed project in an instant way. They want to see it done faster. To Marvelous's point, right? That's why I believe that the greatest burden upon males is the lack of patience, right? So my question to y'all men is, how does a father teach his son patience?
Okay, well, I got one strategy personally. The first strategy would be you have to first control the body. And when I say control the body, you have to let them, you can have them do something like, I don't say like martial arts, but football, sport, that's a good thing. Just to have them have mastery over their body. The next thing will be, once their body has basically been fully under their control in some way, because they focus so hard on one thing, you focus on the mind. You get their mind right. And how do you get their mind right? Well, you have to ask them questions to help ask themselves. You got to have them self-reflect. Once they're able to understand themselves and their mind and all that stuff, then they should be able to be patient and focused, because now they're starting to have more self-awareness. And that's really what it comes down to. Because all the energy that you have as a young man, it is just emotions. We go through what they call that, adolescence, stuff like that. And you're going through your puberty phase, all that stuff. It's all energy, but we don't know how to basically control energy. And as I just said, if you were like, let's say, like, this is why, for me at least, particularly, when I grew up playing football and stuff, I didn't really have a big issue with women, because I was more focused on the game, the sport. I wanted to get bigger. I wanted to get stronger. I was more focused on my body at the time. I wasn't focused on women. Once I had got my body under control and stuff, then I had to go into other fields and science and stuff. I wanted to get into my thing in biology. But that was because, again, I had guidance to do so. If I didn't have that, I'd just be out here in these streets and let my hormones go crazy, because I got these feelings, but I don't know what to do with them. But my body just naturally wants to do this with girls, whatever, right? I ain't losing my virginity until I was like 21. Not only the reason why I didn't even have it, because I was like, well, I'm going to the Middle East. I don't want to die no virgin. Bump it. You know what I'm saying? So that was my only motivation. Had I not, I'm serious. Had I not had that fear of dying a virgin, I still would have been a virgin. Dead ass. Because I had plans, I had preparation, I was good.
So your
that wasn't my burden.
fear was the burden of not being with a woman.
Well, ultimately, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to set my whole life.
Checkmate. This is interesting, actually.
Wait, let me read something for you, Aaron. According to family therapist David Thompson, boys are often hardwired to be kinesthetic learners, right? Meaning they enjoy movement and sensory activities like touching, feeling, building, and exploring with their hands.
Mm-hmm.
Kinesthetic learners may also be tactile learners who prefer to learn through hands-on activities, testing, trial and error, and non-traditional learning environments, right? So This is what I'm saying. Like, this is how, where's the statement at?
I get it. I know. The problem was we kept listening, and this I get the studies. I don't know if there's enough studies on women. And the reason I say that is that, let's be honest, one thing we have proven is that women are just as visual as men. And once we gave them the opportunity and social media allowed them no longer to hide and certain consequences could be measured, we found that they are just as visual as men are. Even though they kept saying, we all about personalities. They say the right thing, but when we can actually identify their actions from a position of invisibility to a degree, right? They don't know we're really watching them. and let them just be and watch them in the wild. You know how like they have those Jeeps out there and they got all the animals in safari and they just operating as if the people on the Jeeps ain't there and we just watching. These women have showed they are visual as much as men. They are shallow. Oh, he not tall enough. Oh, his eyes ain't this. They are very visual. And I don't.
That's a fact.
But you're not describing an education environment, right? So because what you're saying, I mean, I'm
saying there's not. I don't.
As far as from an educational standpoint,
I understand your distinction. I'm saying I think men have been scrutinized and studied more than they study women.
But Aaron, see, my point is it's the lack of patience, right? Because I can give you some anecdotal evidence to that, right? My daughter is more apt to read a novel than my son. My son, instead of reading the novel, he'll rather watch the movie, and he'll be perfectly fine with that, right? So because he lacks the patience to go through the novel, so what I do to teach my son patience is this, right? I taught him how to play chess. And now when we have chess matches, we only are able to make one move a day, right? That's it, one chess move a day. So I'm teaching him to visualize the chessboard, right? And analyze what move you're going to make each day, right? So he doesn't get the instant gratification to know, okay, if he's putting me on the defense, or is he going to be on the defense? No, he has to wait out that process and actually get into a mindset of the long game and being strategic, right? To slow his mind down, slow his brain down. That's the issue. We're hardwired, to B's point, to movement, right?
Okay.
Oh,
We want that instant gratification.
So
wait, I have an argument too. So go ahead. I got arguments as well. Go ahead.
So the thing is, I don't refute what y'all saying is true. I think the difference is it's about how we view what we receive from it. If I told you that you're going to get an advantage over somebody, right, by reading it in the book as opposed to watching the movie, and this advantage will give you this, that, more men would read. They think that, look, that reading that book and me watching it, I can study and learn and be just as adroit and as you reading that book. So they think it's smarter for them to just watch the movie as opposed to reading, right? And I don't know if it's a lack of patience. I think the outcome to them is like, there ain't no advantage for me, and people are looking for an advantage. What's better? What's more something I can utilize? And I think that's a distinction, because I will gladly read something as opposed to watching the movie, especially if I know there's an advantage there.
Aaron, I've never, in the history of knowing you, have I ever reported your channel. I'm about to do that though. This is some bullshit, bro. You are spreading false information right now. This is some bullshit that you're trying to push on us, man. Like, why can't you just accept that this shit is just the truth?
Like, before we go any further, I want to give my argument because I don't want to lose my train of thought for a second.
What?
So I don't want to lose my train of thought. I had a rebuttal for Brunsville real quick.
Man, you young. You hold on to that. Because this nigga is pissing me off, man. He's really sitting here trying to make it seem like it's something wrong with it, just accepting the fact that motherfucking men learn by doing. Yes, it's a lot of people out here that like to read. Jordan Peterson loves to fucking read for some reason. Guess what? I know I've had so many of my nephews and my son tell me that shit make them sleepy.
So
it's in, nigga.
It's because there are different type of men. The men that have charisma, charm, the mouthpieces are not reading books. So the men that teach, the men that actually know how to break down proper structures and things like that are the readers. And I'm saying the guys that want certain things, they respond differently. They don't get out of that what the other guys do.
That's my problem right there. That part is that you making it seem like it just can't be that those guys are the fucking minority. Let them niggas be the fucking minority. Congratulations to them. They made it. They the readers of the world. You know what I'm saying? Blase, Skippy, whatever. But the majority of us, that's not our conducive learning style. And that's okay. Stop trying to make us weird, Aaron, because we not like you. I know what you're trying to do. You not slick.
No, I'm distinguishing the fact that we know tons and tons of men or professors are some of the best readers, instructors in the world.
Absolutely.
And how did they get that way? Because they dad made them read, they mom made them read, they enjoy it, they found a way to connect. I think there are reasons for that. It's not just because that's a guy and that's a woman. I think there are legitimate reasons that pushes this one way over another, why this person reads and why that person doesn't. Now, if you start
ain't that different though? Ain't that that's the reading is still different from the other learn. Wait, let me see. So you got visual, auditory. Yeah, it is. See, you got visual, auditory, reading, write, and kinesthetic. So that's his own learning style, is reading. So yeah, I can concede to you that if you're in an environment that is pushing reading on you, you may be, get used to reading, right? And it may be something that you become very good at. It's something that
the boys are not reading because nobody's reading to them. If you watch
nobody's reading to them, nobody's forcing them to read. Because my son, mama read to him all the time. Right, but at some point she stopped forcing him to read.
Okay, so we have to speak to the guys that like to read, and I mean passionately. We need to go and examine what pushed him in that direction. Right? Was it my dad? I watched my dad read every day, so I copied him. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what it is. I can agree that I've seen or heard, and the studies have said that men are visual learners, it's much more common to that. Right. I still believe, based upon the environment and societal changes, I've seen that women are way more visual than I ever thought they would be, based upon what they would say out of their mouths. And now that I got the proof, they've been lying to us all these years.
What's the proof?
Well, Aaron, Do you believe
that is
the
learning.
video game phenomenon contributes to boys not wanting to read and being impatient when it comes to certain learning styles as opposed to girls?
Right.
Wait. I missed that.
Good question.
Video games? I couldn't hear some of the audio he said. I missed some of it. Somebody repeat it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm driving. I was talking about the video game phenomenon. Mm-hmm. So do you believe that contributes to why males typically would rather be a doer and want to find a way to win at something versus being patient enough to read a novel and have the long game when it comes to...
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So the short answer to that is it depends on the game, right? So they not really paying Tetris like that. Like, the games that we're seeing are games that are competition based, have a ranking system, right? You're this good, you're that good, and you have the ability to win or lose. And there's constant engagement, right? I need to find the clip where they speak about why video games are so impactful to guys, right? It's constant engagement. If I take my eyes off the screen, somebody might walk up and be, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's that element. Women don't really play games to win because they don't really think they can win. And it's the very few of them that are actually competitive. But when they actually lose, it's like, well, I'm technically supposed to lose. I'm a girl. So the games that they play are not hyper competitive.
I was about to hit send on this email to YouTube about your channel, but I had to stop myself because I realized I keep forgetting how young you are, right? Because you tried to make this argument that they not playing Tetris. Nigga, that's what we played when that was all we had. When that was the game we had, we was addicted to that shit too. And you
Yeah.
know why?
Yeah, I
It's a
remember.
form of fucking control. That's my point.
Yeah, but he talked about the video game phenomenon. So
I understand that. It started in my generation, not y'all's. Y'all think
No,
y'all,
it's
old.
no, listen,
y'all,
listen.
y'all think y'all shit count because y'all got this 3D, 4D shit. Our 1D shit counted too, nigga. You ain't gonna take that away from me.
I took it as he was talking about the impact of us being able to measure how much people are actually playing, them actually calculating our watch hours.
It's been new. That's what I'm telling you, Dr. Kenjufu.
They ain't they had no way to track this stuff, bro, because online they didn't.
Aaron, I got 2 words for you. Game room. Aaron, in my day when I was young, the game room used to be the spot. Kids was flooding the motherfuckers quarter after quarter after quarter after quarter after quarter, hours upon hours upon hours upon hours of video game play, bro.
They cannot track that. Okay, y'all is wild.
Aaron, they
Not y'all.
Listen, listen. It's a documentary that I just watched the other day, Aaron. They was talking about NBA Jam, right?
Yes.
So the guy talked about it was one. I can't remember which game it was, but it was one game that they had that they used to go put into specific arcades. This was in Chicago, right? So they would put the games in this specific arcade. They had this one game, and I think he said that game used to average about $700 a week in coins. When they put the NBA Jam in there, that shit shot to 15 in the first week. And then
so
going up and up and up. Then when they put Mortal Kombat in there, it just went through the fucking
I get it, but still, you can't measure me in Brownsville playing Super Nintendo at my house for 7 hours. When you're playing Call of Duty online or you're playing another game online, they can actually measure the hours. That's what I'm saying. We didn't have access to certain
it was
metrics.
self-reported. It was self-reported. Dude, what do you think the phenomenon is when all the parents across the country are reporting that they fucking kids is on these goddamn video games all day? Not only that, watch this. Not only that, now all of a sudden, to Brownsville's point, now all of a sudden, the boys especially are less interested in classrooms. What the fuck is going on? Why is all of a sudden in this last generations, the boys are less interested in fucking classrooms? Guess what we were saying in the classrooms? We need more computers in here. If they put this shit on the video game, maybe we'd be more concerned about learning this shit and blah, 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 blah. I'm not disputing your point that they were able to track the phenomenon even better with the data that they've had since gaming has been online, right? But I'm just saying they have known for a long time about the video game phenomenon and the effect on the mind of kids per se. They have known about that shit for a while, right? And that's what I'm saying. That in itself, though, highlights the fact, especially for boys, like you said, boys are the ones who's usually the gamers, right? Because it's more about the fucking control. You really get that control feeling and ability to manipulate and all this other shit. It's nothing fucking like it. Nothing like it, right? So I think, to your point, what would you say that? Would you say that most of the learning for STEM is computerized at this point?
Yeah. So the thing is, you get to turn your brain off. So let me tell you, like I used to play games a lot, right? It was the only time that my brain didn't go from everywhere I walk. I'm thinking, hey, why is that sign there? Hey, well, watch that person. Like just constantly just going to where I can fixate and focus on one task within a system. So that is why it's so. I don't play games anymore. I don't. So, and maybe I'm more patient than most, and maybe Brownsville's on to something. Maybe it's that immediate gratification. Although I'd argue, I think that I don't know if I apply that just there because I'm like, well, god dang, most of us are not playing the long game, guy or woman. We not playing long game situations. So
you made that point earlier when you talked about when you playing sports, you shoot the ball, it goes into the basket.
Yeah.
Immediate gratification for you right there.
Yeah, that was to assist with where he was speaking to and try to meet him there and try to understand his point. And I can see that. The thing is, though, women are playing basketball. WNBA is going crazy. They don't have the ability to play football to the degree that we do, and so they may not be as desirable if they feel like, dang, I can't even do somewhat close to what the men do. I don't know. You ask the women that. And so I can understand why certain sports haven't reached that. You're starting to see women gravitate towards that. Is that based upon their own innate desires or societal influence?
No, not societal influence, programming.
Okay, fine.
It's real legit programming, biological warfare. Absolutely. They are changing the like if you've seen on the Matrix when they was talking about when the machines had kidnapped Morpheus and they said they trying to make his brain waves go from this to this, right? And it was like it went from one direction to the other direction. This is what they have been able to do to manipulate the human being on a biological level, right? On a chemical level. They've been able to manipulate us, right? And this is why these women are moving like men. Black women, as we always say, the majority of them have always worked. So this idea that them working is what makes them masculine is about the stupidest shit I have ever heard in my entire
don't forget what Brownsville told us to remember.
Aaron, please tell her what we was. We was gangs. We was all gangs. All of us. We was gangs.
Oh, we reached the conclusion of the Aaron O Show. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. But I'm tired, man. I gotta get something to eat. Y'all not keeping me up all night. Y'all find yourself something to do. Get some sleep. Fireworks are probably going to start going off any minute now. And I'm not looking forward to that, okay? My job has been completed. I came here to challenge y'all, push the conversation forward, and build so that Brownsville can go back and say, I was over there. I was there, and you know what? That brother good. That brother good right there. I can't help it, okay? My brother Beans was here, and I made sure this show, he was like, yeah, this is what I was looking for, okay? My brother Mo came through, said I got to pull up. He came late, so he didn't get the full impact of the show. But for everybody else that showed up, I truly appreciate y'all for being here. Just do me a favor at the end of the show. You hit a like, and you leave a comment, and you can talk about just how much y'all love the Aaron O Show. Until next time, we gone.